Do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
Alrighty then. Wednesday night. You know what that means?
What does it mean?
That means it's time for the Mark Order Podcast. Here on the Shining Wizards Network. Go home Wednesday night for us. And I guess everybody on the Dynamite crew. We're a three-man band right now. Ryan Schlong here. Got
Hello.
Joe here. And I'm AntMoney. So.
Are you though?
I am. We're here on. What's that?
Are you sure?
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure.
Are you sure you're sure?
Hold on. Yep, I'm sure. Do you remember those commercials? Sure. Unsure.
All day
unsure.
sure. All day sure.
Yes, now I do.
Like your microphone. Ant.
What's that?
I said
yeah,
all
like
day
my mic.
like you're sure like your microphone. Yeah.
That's right. I forgot. I should put one of our stickers over it. That's right. I still have some stickers. What? They're not for general consumption. I have a few left. Not many. Just a few.
I still have a few. I keep around like prison currency.
Yeah.
In case I need to get them off for, a bar of gold or something.
Sure. I have some stickers. I did just find out though, I might know somebody who can print stickers, which might mean we're going to get back in the sticker game. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. So, anywho, so what's going on, fellas? Ryan, what's good
Living
with you?
life. Doing that good. What's new with you?
Doing that good? Wait, you're not going to just... That's not going to be the end of that.
Yes,
What?
it is.
What is...
Probably should be.
Where is that coming from?
I have no idea. I just wanted to say something insane.
That was sure as shit insane. Doing that good? My
living
God.
my life doing that good.
Oh my God. You got a big football game coming up. What's it, Monday night?
Monday.
Super Bowl rematch, right?
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully this week off helps them get a little healthier because they've been banged the fuck up.
Now, Joe, who's your football team? Is it Green Bay?
Mine is yes. Only because my father was a Packers fan growing up. And growing up, they spent a little time outside Green Bay. So that's how he became a Packers fan. And I inherited that part from him.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was maybe outside chance Kansas City. Then we'd get a real rivalry going here above me.
Yeah. Not being here in Nebraska. You get a lot of Chiefs, you get a lot of Royals, you get all that stuff. So it was too much growing up. So I kind of liked other teams outside the state, outside the region.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Don't make you a bad person. I mean, there's no St. Louis team anymore. So,
No.
So I guess it's just Kansas City if you're going to go Missouri. But
I was a Braves fan growing up, though, because that was the heyday of the Braves.
yeah. Well, it don't make you a bad person. I mean, they were good. I thought that they had a chance this year, but no. The Braves said no, or the Rangers said no, right? Was the Rangers that knocked them off, or was it the Diamondbacks? Diamondbacks.
You got me.
Doesn't even matter because that World Series blew. Well, didn't necessarily blow, but nobody watched it.
No one did.
They said it was like the worst. I think it might have been the worst rated World Series in the history of the World Series. That's a long time.
Well, I mean, the markets are just two terrible markets.
Yeah, really bad. Ryan, Scott George is checking in. He wants to know if there's any truth to the rumor that the Sixers signed Kelly Oubre
Right? Yeah.
to a 1-year prove it deal, and Daryl Morey was the one who ran him over on his prove it deal.
As far as I know, Daryl Morey has neither confirmed nor denied he is the one to have hit Kelly Oubre walking the street with his car.
Interesting. Silence is tantamount to consent.
I mean, it does suck. The guy's on a prove it deal, gets hit walking the street.
Yeah, I know. Well, Scott George also saying the Phillies beat the Braves. Probably should have known that, Ryan.
I'll be honest, I didn't want to talk baseball, so I was letting it go.
You're wearing the hat.
I know, but I was letting it go.
Oh my God.
He's moved on. He's all about that good.
All about that good.
I can't. So Ryan's just all about the good. He doesn't really want to give anything else up tonight.
Not
Joe?
bad. Give me the good.
Okay. Well, Joe, what grinds your gears?
Well, we can talk about that later, but
Okay.
other than that, nothing's been going on much with me.
All right. Well, that's good, I guess.
Getting ready for my first. I've never been to a wedding at a courthouse this weekend for friends of mine, so that'll be interesting. I assume it's just like a car wash of like couples come in and get married, and then the next couple comes in and gets married. Kind of, a Las Vegas chapel.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna get married. Going the full and sorry.
Man.
I think Ryan was dipping into the good.
I know. He won't tell us what's going on with himself, but he'll sing.
I literally have nothing going on. That's why I don't answer.
You didn't do anything over the weekend? Nothing? You didn't see the Marvels or whatever the fuck that movie's called or anything?
I've kind of been out on the Marvel universe now. I see. My problem is I don't like time travel and I don't like alternate dimensions.
I will say this. If you haven't watched any of Loki, Ryan, it's 6 episodes a season. There's 2 seasons.
I've seen season 1.
Then you need to see season 2, Ryan. It is the full circle story of Loki.
Maybe I don't like alternate dimensions that they opened up with this whole thing, and it just.
Don't worry.
What? Do they destroy all the dimensions?
No, but they sort of close the book on multi-dimensions for the time being.
I mean, I'll try. To me, once you open up multiple dimensions, you kind of remove the stakes.
Well, it's like, see, I can't say anything, Joe, because it'll ruin stuff. But I will say this, Ryan. There have been a lot of rumors going around that they are moving away from Jonathan Majors' characters because of all his legal problems. They pretty much do. So,
well, they kind of, yeah. I mean,
but
I wonder how that messes them up though, because he was supposed to be the big bad.
Well, there are other people they could pull in. Let's not forget too that Deadpool 3 is coming now next, I think July they pushed it back to now because of all the delays. That's going to be the only Marvel movie in 2024. The only
I feel
one.
like Marvel is treading water until Fantastic Four or X-Men come back.
Well, Fantastic Four is on the slate for 2025.
Yep.
I think Blade also is on the slate for 2025. But there's been a lot of Blade's been a shit show for a while because they keep losing writers and directors and all that kind of shit. But Gordon Post put in the chat, there is a rumor going around that Kang will be replaced by Doctor Doom.
Doctor Doom, a far better villain.
Well, but that's what's going to be interesting, right? Because with Deadpool, so the rumor with Deadpool is that he is going to sort of bring he will bring multiple universes together, which is why Hugh Jackman shows up. There's also a lot of things out there saying that Jennifer Garner as Elektra is coming back. So they're pulling people from different dimensions, and then
that doesn't work.
They own the properties now.
Yeah, but there's already an Elektra.
Where?
In Daredevil, the TV show.
Well, that's a different universe.
No, that actually took place in the mainstream Marvel universe.
How do you know?
Because they was written and created by Marvel. In Marvel, they even referenced the incident in New York.
But it doesn't mean that it's part
Not
of
to mention, that whole Daredevil was way better than the previous Daredevil.
No disagreements. No disagreements.
I have issues. See, this is what I mean. Multiverse still exists. I hate the fucking multiverse.
But this is how they're going to pull the X-Men in and the mutants.
You don't have to even pull them in like that. Give me one quick explanation that they had it all set up. Thanos does this weird snap. They snap back. It fucks everything up. Suddenly, you have mutants and the Fantastic Four can have their own storyline. But suddenly, you have mutants. It would have worked. But no. They have to get all crazy with the fucking multiverse.
So if that's the sacred timeline, right, as they referred to it in Loki, if that is the sacred timeline, all of the events of the Marvel universe to date, there are no mutants. They're Inhumans. They won't call them mutants. That's why they came up with
Inhumans exist outside of mutants. Inhumans are their own thing. But
they only exist in the Marvel universe because they couldn't use mutants.
Well, no, Inhumans exist in comic book form as well. They have their own story.
I understand.
You could have easily, with the Thanos snap, had Thanos create mutants by accident. Like there could have been some, but you didn't. You decided to go the multiverse, and not even just one movie. You could have maybe I would have forgiven if they did one movie of multiverse. There's been like 12 and a TV show. I'm done.
Well, the problem is that they oversaturated and cheapened the product because they wanted to push out as much content as they could for the streamer.
Yes.
So it's hurt.
Part of the problem is too, they used up all these great characters. Well, some of them were unknown, but some really good characters. And the two best properties they have left, Fantastic Four and X-Men, they're taking forever to get back running. And they need that's really where the next Marvel rebuild starts. I don't care what anyone says. Because that's what people care about.
For sure. That's the next big one up. That's the one that I think is going to get everybody to go to the movies. But I don't know, because I was excited to see John Krasinski as no, get that off the screen. Get out of here.
Sloan might say it right. John Krasinski should be Mr. Fantastic. However, I saw rumors that it might be Pedro Pascal. He is amazing. He would be the only one I'd be okay with otherwise, but it really should be John Krasinski. And then you can have his real life wife Emily Blunt be Mrs. Fantastic. It'd be perfect.
He was very good in the short part he was in Doctor Strange. Which, by the way, I thought Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was actually pretty fun.
No, I didn't dig it.
It was their take.
That is actually the movie. That was the movie that lost me.
Well, it all fell to shit because of Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man had to fuck up and keep fucking with the spell.
No. Doctor Strange fucked up.
Peter kept changing.
You have a teenage kid arriving on your doorstep saying, "Can we have people forget I'm Spider-Man?" The adult in the room should be like, "Hey, there's a pretty logical way we can handle it. It's just everyone who knew you were Spider-Man pre this revelation will continue to know and no one else will." But Doctor Strange decided to be the one dumb and be like, "I'll just make it so no one knows." Like, come on.
Well, if you recall, Ryan, he was trying to do it that way, and then Peter kept changing it.
No,
kept
he was
saying-
trying to make it so no one knew. And then Peter said, "Well, this person knows, and this person knows, and this person knows." Doctor Strange is the adult. He should have planned this out. They should have had these questions before the event.
Guys, this is a wrestling podcast, okay? We are very strict on talking about wrestling. I don't know what this non-wrestling talk is.
We
Usually
waited for you.
we
If you were
dive
on
right
time.
into it.
That's not true. If you were on time, you would have known.
Hi, fellas.
Hi.
How are you?
Okay.
Joe, were you raising your hand to wave or talk?
I'm going to
Yeah, I was
talk
just
because both. And this is for you, Ryan. For someone who is having difficulty suspending disbelief watching the MCU and all their timelines, this is coming from a guy who is on a pro wrestling podcast.
Oh,
You have a hard time.
See, this is your mistake.
suspending belief.
It is not a question of all suspending disbelief. I can easily suspend my disbelief. I don't like the story. I think it removes stakes. I think the minute you open the multiverse, you've removed stakes. It's the problem I have with Impact's multiverse. You've removed the stakes.
But it's madness.
Yes.
So hi, Kate.
Ryan said he had nothing to talk about, and now he's really going in on
Nothing
that.
personal, but I can go on forever about geeky topics.
He was very heated when I walked in here.
He was talking
not so
about
good.
teenagers arrive on your doorstep.
Okay, you missed it. I told him I was doing that good.
Wait, were you talking about Peter Parker?
Yes.
Do you want to hear my Peter Parker joke?
Oh God.
Oh wait,
sure.
I don't know if I can remember it.
Oh,
I can't remember the setup for it.
well, if you remember, just raise your hand and we'll call on you.
Okay, thank you. How we doing?
Good.
Yeah, you switched up the background a little bit, I feel like.
No, it's still a bunch of garbage behind me.
It looks like there's a new picture or something. A band
that's
photo.
there. That's my Deftones poster.
Nice.
And then some new vinyl that arrived this week and last week is over here.
What'd you get?
Yeah. So I went to
I love
see.
vinyl. Joe knows that better than anybody.
I went. I have a whole pile here.
A stack of
that I
vinyl.
get. But there's a local like record and bookstore, and I walked into it one day to check it out for the first time with G and the boy, and I just was thumbing through some of the vinyl, and they had like $1 a piece or like 15 for 10,
Nice.
and like they had like 3 Carole King records front and center, a couple other things that caught my interest. They had like a couple, like one of the Steve Martin records, and they were all in pretty good shape. I was like, for $1, I was like, so I'll find 15 to pick out. So I got a bunch of those, and then they had a bunch of 7 inches, and they had that's right. They had a bunch of Beatles stuff. So I pretty much picked out all the Beatles, 7 inches. So those were cool. But the new vinyl, last week, not this one, the week before, I went to the city to see my buddy Joey and the Banner.
Asian
Joey
Joe
did-
or just a different?
No. Joey Southside and the Banner. Joey did our logo and stuff.
Hell yeah.
So they played. I already have their vinyl, but then Extinction AD played with them, and Rick from This Is Hell. That's his band, and I worked with This Is Hell in a prior gig. So it was good to see him. So I picked up their 2 vinyls that they had. And then the picture disc that's sitting in front behind me is a Seosin translating the name picture disc that they just did. And then I got a Terror BBC sections vinyl back there too, somewhere. So
hell yeah. Look at that vinyl collection.
Yeah.
And I'm very
I
jealous.
remembered
I
my
wish
joke.
I had a 7-inch.
We
I
know you
know.
do, buddy. We know.
I know, Ryan. I know.
Why
But I
did
do-
Spider-Man pass his driver's test?
Why didn't he?
No, why did he?
Go ahead.
He was a good Peter Parker.
Because he was a good parallel Parker.
Oh my God. So this past weekend, I was out pretty close to Asian Joe, but not close enough. I was in St. Louis.
You were in Asia?
No.
Oh, okay.
Also, I feel like we're
The
treading.
Midwest part of Asia.
I was in St. Louis. Mrs. Money wanted to go
With the
see.
missus, right?
Yes, she wanted to see Gravity Kills. That's like one of her favorite bands.
Did they do the gravity walk?
They did not. Although
That's
that would have been
disappointing.
hilarious. So the whole story here was they are not active anymore, but like 10 years ago they did a one night only show and she didn't go. She regretted it. So this time around I was like, we're going, right? Like we have to go. So we went and she's like friends on social with the singer and stuff. And at one point they were supposed to play a smaller venue and then they changed venues. And she was like, yeah, Jeff, who sings for Gravity Kills, she was like, he messaged me and said they're opening VIP tickets. He wanted to make sure if I wanted one, I got one. I was like, oh, cool. He was like, yeah, he texted me. I was like, I'm sorry. Say again. So she apparently was texting with him and got all the details. So we got the VIP stuff. We did a meet and greet, right? And so we go in because part of that was to be there for sound check. He recognized her right away from the stage and was like, hey, good to see you, you know? And I should note too that Mrs. Money met Jeff when she was 18 at the Birch Hill nightclub in New Jersey. And has a picture with him that's quite amazing. I can't pull it up. I don't have it, but quite amazing. And we were going to try to recreate it. We did not get to. However, I will tell you guys this. Kate, you might get a kick out of this. They start coming around because they're going to do pictures and like talk to everybody for a few minutes. But so Jeff is coming around. He sees Gina and is like, oh my God, Gina, I'm so glad you're here. You know, and I'm connected with him too, because I was, you know, connecting with him because he like was doing studio stuff and I was doing it at the time. So we were going back and forth on that. But so what's up? And then he's like, can I just say, you guys are raising a beautiful son. And I was like, come again? He's aware of my 6-year-old. And then we go, you know, up to meet the rest of the band and take our photos and stuff. And he's like, guys, they have the most adorable 6-year-old at home. Like, why didn't you bring him? I was like, that's the last thing I wanted to do. But it was very mind-blowing that they knew who Anthony was. That was wild. Also, the opening band that night, I'll give it up here. Their name was Frost Children. I had no conceived notion of this band until maybe 5 minutes to doors when I looked them up and saw that they were a brother-sister duo from St. Louis, now based in New York. And they were described as hyper pop / glitchcore. And I was like,
glitchcore.
Yeah, I was like, this is going to suck. I'm going to hate this. I fucking loved it.
What is glitchcore?
I can't explain it. I really don't know. The best thing I can tell you is I couldn't put my finger on sort of what it was. And then the sister, I can't remember her name, of the duo, said something about one of her first shows was My Chemical Romance and it changed my life and my music, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, that's it. Like vocally, it's sort of emo screamo, but there are elements. It's electronic and bass heavy, but there are like almost these crazy breakdown screamo sections. It blew me the fuck away. It was so weird though, because when you would look around the room, like all of the adults, like, you know, the older fans of Gravity Kills were like, I don't understand what this is. But all the younger crowd was very into it. Like, I get it. Like, I almost would describe it as, you know how there's that, like, you know, you had hardcore music and then there was the post-hardcore, which sort of was like emo screamo. I would call this almost post-screamo. I feel like this is the next evolutionary step in screamo emo music. So now I'm going
Frost Children.
Frost Children. Now I'm going to see them on February 2nd in New York City. They're doing some sort of release show, and apparently they're playing. They're opening that show, and then they're closing their own show.
Interesting.
They're playing 2 sets.
My goodness.
So it sounds like they're a cold opener.
Oh, I like it.
Or a wet opener.
No. I would just like
I'm
to
also mad.
Ryan and Kate, I want to put you guys on notice because that's how you make a joke, and it's not necessarily funny.
I'm very mad. Frostchilds was right there, and they didn't take it.
Frostchilds?
Like Rothschild, but Frostchild, it's right there.
Okay.
Frost Children, like, come on.
Okay. So, guys, I will say this about St. Louis. It was pretty cool. We stayed right next to the Arch. We did, Joe, go up in the Spaceballs escape pod.
Nice.
Not gonna lie. I thought that was gonna be pretty lame. It was pretty fucking awesome. You're very high up. 630 feet to be exact. So you see everything. We were right down the street from Busch Stadium, and I had never been around or near it or really seen much of it. And I was blown away by how much of that surrounding area is just like Kate, I know Kate, you're into baseball. Like if we were to go there and not even have tickets, it would be awesome just to hang outside the stadium and like be there. Like
just
it's so different than like a Yankee stadium. Like, yeah, there's bars and stuff there, but literally that whole area is like meant to hang out for the weekend around the games. Like,
well, that's what Matt always said, right? But then they found out it was not such a nice, it wasn't like and then walk back to your hotel at night kind of area. But
I don't know how far they stayed. Like we stayed right literally down the block. So like,
gotcha.
The night we got into town, you know, like we walked from our hotel, like down the block to that area to like grab something to eat. I didn't feel unsafe, but like if I had gone a block past the stadium in one direction, I would have been like, this is super sketchy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
So that was cool. Also didn't know that their St. Louis is known for their toasted raviolis.
Didn't know St. Louis was known for any sort of food.
Two things. I'll make you hip to it. One is the toasted raviolis. Now, my assumption as a fried ravioli person here in New Jersey, I'm assuming it's just going to be a fried cheese ravioli.
Of course.
Which the first place we went to the first night, they had toasted pimento cheese raviolis. I was like, love pimento cheese. Very Midwest. We're going to do that. We did it. They were great. We went to a place called Blueberry Hill, which is very, big out there. Like Chuck Berry played there once a week for like years. And they had toasted raviolis. They came fried meat raviolis. Fucking fantastic. Just great.
Well played.
But here's the other thing they're known for. Gooey butter cake. Now, imagine crumb cake,
Okay.
mixed with like a blondie.
Interesting.
And that's sort of what it is.
Good.
Love it.
All
Very
right.
good. Very good.
The more
Also
you know.
very Joe, very weird. I don't know if you could back this up. We were told we got a pizza out there to try it. We'll try pizza anywhere. We were told after the fact by some gentlemen we met at the show who were sitting sort of at our little table talking with us that it is St. Louis style pizza, which is super thin crust. Okay, we're not opposed to that here in New York, New Jersey. But they said the cheese is like specific to that area. You could only get it really there. It was called Provel cheese. And we saw it in the supermarket. I've never seen it before. Does not taste like mozzarella. I can't tell you what it tastes like. I've never tasted anything like it.
I'm not a fan of the St. Louis style pizza. I've had it a couple times. Not a fan. Did you know the band The Urge?
Yes.
So the front man for them, Steve, he has a hot dog shop in St. Louis. I should have told you about that.
It's
you know
all
what
good.
know what that isn't, Joe? It's not Casa Bonita.
No.
Not
Few
Casa
things are.
Bonita.
No.
Nothing is.
I haven't been to Colorado. It's got to go on the
Casa
list.
Bonita.
But St. Louis was pretty fun. I want to go back for baseball. And then we stopped in Indianapolis to fly out of Indianapolis and just change of scenery. Indy was cool, but it's just like there. You know what I mean?
It shuts down real early at night. Like anytime I was there from the combine, it was like, and at 9 p.m. we're closed. Unless you want to go to a steakhouse or Hooters. Everything's closed.
Right. That's what I said to Mrs. Money. I was like, the nightlife here seems like it's just bar. Like go to a bar. There's nothing else.
I think they're working on it because like the Super Bowl came there. They've had some more events moving in, but like the biggest attraction there was like we have this walkway that connects the whole city, and we consider that an attraction. Like, you connect a football stadium to a convention center. That's not like an attraction, but.
Funny you mentioned that, Kate. We stayed at the hotel that was connected to the convention center.
The Hilton?
No, maybe it's on the other side then. The Crown Plaza or the Crown, whatever. Did you know that you could stay in a train car?
I think I actually did know that. I think there were like 4 fun facts about Indianapolis, and we've hit 2 of them.
Well, we stayed in the train car for the one night we were there. That
Very
was
nice.
You literally get on a train and go into your room, which is a car. I thought it was like some like kitschy thing. No, you fucking walk through the thing and there's a fucking train standing in front of you.
That's wild.
What's also wild is in that hotel, everywhere, there are these white statues of like ghosts of the past. And I may or may not have been a little stoned because that's not legal in Indiana. So I may or may not have been, but I forgot about those fucking statues. And when we walked back in the hotel, I had a moment because when we got back up to where our room was to get to the train cars, there was a statue of one, I guess like Huck Finn looking kid, like giving the other one a foot up to get into the train through a window. And it freaked me the fuck out. I was like, we have to get in the room. I can't.
You got creeped out by the Huck Finn statue.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really fucking weird. And there was another one hanging off the top of the train, like somebody up there, like looking down. And I was like, get me in my room. So yeah, and then the other thing, Kate, was we didn't know. So you've been to Indy for the combine. Apparently, Indianapolis is known for their shrimp cocktail.
Yes, there's one specific steakhouse,
but
where it's like the creme de la creme of them. But yeah, that
St.
whole
Elmo's?
area is. Might have been St. Elmo's. I think it was. Yeah.
Probably we didn't get to go to St. Elmo's because it was like closed by the time we got into Indy. Because we also, and I'll wrap it up here because this is a lot of Midwest talk. But what I said to Mrs. Money was, I don't really want a shrimp cocktail in Indianapolis because the closest water that I could think of is Lake Michigan, and there shouldn't be any shrimp in there.
Delish.
But between St. Louis and Indianapolis, we were driving along. I saw Mrs. Money was taking a nap in the car. I saw the largest cross I think I have ever seen in my life, which was fucking frightening. I was like, okay, I didn't need that. But we passed a town called Casey, Illinois. And if you guys are unaware of what Casey, Illinois is, it is home to, I want to say, 6 of the world's largest blank. So the world's largest rocking chair, world's largest pitchfork, world's largest wind chime, world's largest mailbox, world's largest wooden shoes, maybe, and the world's largest, I can't remember the last, golf tee. And there were also some other things in there. Maybe they weren't the world's largest. But we stopped there because when Mrs. Money saw the sign, she was like,
we're going to that weird ass place.
I was like, yeah, we are. And we did. And they're all just like out there on like on the main road in town, which is literally 2 blocks. Looked like a charming place. But I will tell you this, the world's largest rocking chair did not disappoint. That thing was fucking huge.
Were you allowed to sit in it?
No, it was way too big.
You should be able to. You should be able to climb stairs to get into it.
We did get into the world's largest mailbox.
That's pretty cool.
Did
anybody son do anything?
No, and I didn't have anything to mail from there. I didn't have because there was a mail drop in the mailbox, but I didn't nothing was open, so I couldn't even go somewhere. It was a Sunday, and Casey, Illinois, which, by the way, all world's largest or large item. They also had a large ruler, large knitting needles, a pencil, a barber pole. They had all this shit. On all of it were proverbs from the Bible. And everything was closed because Sunday.
Yeah, like a blue law town. No.
I think it's just Jesus is here on Sunday and nobody else is.
Wow.
So, but yeah, that's
funny because when I was in Indianapolis, there was definitely a diner strip club combo.
Oh man, missed it. We did go to Kilroy's. Did I think I told you guys. We looked everywhere. No sports team in the region was anywhere we looked to go. No football, no basketball, not even hockey. Nobody was in town.
No sports.
No sports. But I did, again, very cool to see fucking, what is it, Lukoil Stadium?
Yes.
And then literally right down the other side of the street is where the Pacers play. I don't remember what the name of that is, the farmhouse or whatever. But we did happen to go to a bar and get their world famous stuffed bread with provolone or mozzarella and pepperoni.
Provolone?
Here's the plus up, because again, I'm just going to say Midwest. It does come with marinara, right? That's what you would assume here in New Jersey, New York, Kate and Ryan. But in Indianapolis, it comes with marinara and a side of nacho cheese. That's exactly what you need on your fucking stuffed bread. It was fantastic. So that's what I did with my weekend. But I digress. So all that to say, to lead into wrestling, I didn't see Rampage or Collision, but I heard the shows were good. Any truth to that?
I don't remember.
It was
Rampage
enjoyable.
Talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been putting on good shows the last couple months, actually. I think Kate froze.
She did.
Her computer just shut off, so she'll be back.
Daniel Garcia Andrade match was solid for Collision.
So here, let's just do this, and then you guys can tell me what to check out. Rampage, we had Ricky Starks defeat Preston Vance. There was an interview with Jericho backstage, Don Callis interview, all that leading up to tonight. Red Velvet defeated Ruby Soho. The Kingdom defeated a team of jobbers. That's all that's here in my notes. I'm sorry, I don't know who it actually was. And Roddy ripped off his neck brace afterwards to attack in the ring. So his neck, I guess his neck strength is good. And then FTR defeated El Hijo del Vikingo and Commander. After that match, lights go out, House of Black appear on the video screen, and that's Rampage. For Collision, we had Andrade versus Garcia. Andrade defeats Garcia versus submission. And CJ Perry was with Andrade. Things are looking good, but Miro's not very happy. Nick Wayne defeats Dalton Castle via pinfall. Dalton Castle starting to lose his mind. LFI defeat the Workhorsemen. We also had Roddy Strong defeat Darius Martin. We had Tony Khan announce that Bryan Danielson is going to be the first contender in the Continental Classic, which is a tournament featuring 12 wrestlers, round robin style, with the inaugural Continental Classic winner being crowned at the World's End pay-per-view in Long Island. I bring that up because I want to touch on that before we move on to Dynamite. Julia Hart defeats Willow Nightingale. And then Power... Oh, sorry, guys.
Powerhouse.
Hobbs defeats Local Talent. And then in the main event, Lance Archer and the Righteous are defeated by Sting, Darby Allin, and the Rated R superstar Adam Copeland. So, anything, gentlemen, before we talk about the tournament, anything worth checking out?
Roddy Strong's match against Darius Martin. LFO and their Summer Girls versus Workhorsemen. Trying to think. Daniel Garcia's match, absolutely. I mean, they were the ones you really want to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, we're getting the AEW G1.
Well, AEW G1. I mean, come on, of course. Scott George is backing you guys up. He says Andrade versus Garcia. So that's good. And I'm glad to hear you both say that Roddy is neck strong. So he'll take on.
Well, I mean, of course he's neck strong. When you fake a neck injury, your neck's never weak.
Hey, come on. He had a legitimately bad neck.
No, he's been faking it.
Oh, boy. Come on, Ryan. Why are you going to turn like this? What a heel turn.
He wrestles, then puts the neck brace back on. Can't leave a wheelchair. He's faking it. I don't care what you guys say.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Well, I do want to talk about this tournament because, well, it's a tournament for a title that is not really a title, right? Like a continental champion. We have an international championship, right? So why do we need a continental? They're not calling it a champion, right? Just a winner. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. The other thing is too, like, why wouldn't they be doing something like this for the Ring of Honor television title? Right? I mean,
because Bryan Danielson's not involved with that.
Well,
yeah. Actually, I don't mind that this is for no title if you're going to treat it like a G1, where like this is just a tournament of your best players, but best wrestlers. It's going to take more than 1 year for this to actually matter, though.
I was with you. I wasn't quite sure what the stakes were of this, other than bragging rights of like I mean, would you at least win a shot at the title or something? I mean, give me something.
You do, yeah. I mean, there should be something at stake, right? But I guess it's the same thing as the Dynamite ring. But the Dynamite ring's been established as like a one-time deal, right? You win the battle royal, you get your shot against the person who holds the ring, or to hold that for a full year. I guess unless you want to put it on the line, right? Like he did again. Well, he didn't. He put it on the line against Juice because Juice won the battle royal. So,
It also kind of feels like the Owen, where it's like, yeah, you win a cup and some weird championship belt for winning the Owen, but it really doesn't mean anything.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe when they announce the rest of the bracket, I'll be a little more invested. But then also, are we just going to get are we just going to get tournament matches? They're going to have to be announced, right? From here on out. Like they're going to have to say, oh, this is a tournament match. So is this now, are we just finding a way to fill television to the end of the year without the, but they have to also build to this pay-per-view. So what are you know what I mean? Like I'm sort of like torn here because they have to build to the pay-per-view. So I guess that's part of what they're doing, right? They're using the tournament, but literally just for one match. So what are they going to build? What are they going to build? I don't know. I'm just kind of lost here. Like it's 12 people. Gordon
This is
Post,
kind of how I feel about it.
Good point. Yeah, it's the same as the NBA in-season tournament. Yeah, good point, Gordon. That is very good point. We were bitching about
the NBA
that.
in-season tournament's worse. It's not even, you can't compare the two.
Well, it is for a meaningless trophy.
Yeah, except wrestling's full of meaningless things. And the NBA just did an in-season tournament to try to get people to watch their league in November.
Well, isn't this the same thing as trying to get people to watch their programming from now until
That's whatever. No. Because wrestling doesn't have a season. Wrestling is just constantly meaningless. So the G1's meaningless?
We'll tell that to the WWE because they did have their season premiere like a month ago.
But so is the G1 meaningless?
I mean, you just win the tournament, right? There's nothing.
So, okay.
I think you go back to Ant's point of like it has to get established, where the G1 had become established.
You can't establish without actually having it first,
right? I don't know.
I'm interested in yeah, I'm interested in seeing who's going to fill out the rest of the brackets, because I'm going to be okay with this if they are truly showcasing like the best wrestlers or technical wrestlers that they have. If they're putting Danielson in this, you would hope that maybe they put a Garcia in this. Maybe a Roddy, maybe even somebody like a Josh Woods, because he was a pure champion, right? So he can wrestle. But like they've got to give us names that we're gonna care about. I really do just want to. I do just want to sort of see like who's gonna be involved, because if this is just gonna be a mishmash of people like that we don't care about, then yeah, this is meaningless. But I don't know. They're hit and miss. Sometimes they tell good stories through their tournaments, and then they have good stories coming out of them, but I don't know. Somehow this has to sort of get to the 30th and then maybe get to Revolution in February for any stories to sort of take. I don't know. Also very weird to see Danielson with his eye patch on being like, I'll be ready. Okay. But I don't know. Well, Ryan's being awfully pessimistic tonight. This is out of character for you, Ryan.
Oh, I'm sorry. How am I the pessimistic one when I liked the tournament and you two are the ones shitting on it?
You're still being pessimistic. Just saying it. Well,
I'm the one
go ahead.
I'm the one liking it. You two are the ones hating on it.
I'm not. All right. I'll use Joe's term. I'm in a holding pattern right now. I just think it's weird
didn't sound like a holding pattern to me. It sounded like you were shitting on it.
You're just going to have so many people wrapped up in this that you have to do two things here, right? You have to have the tournament interesting and get to one single final match that has to be awesome at the pay-per-view. But then you also have to fill out the rest of the card for a pay-per-view. And you would assume that a number of these people are going to be involved in some sort of story, perhaps for this pay-per-view. So I'm assuming they're going to have to build some stories beyond the tournament, maybe to get to the pay-per-view. Also, I'm sort of nervous now. Are we going to get like an MJF versus 8 people at this pay-per-view?
Why?
There's so many people who want a piece of MJF. I'm just nervous.
Yeah, that's a great thing. Doesn't mean you get them all at once, but that's a great story that he has so many people who want them.
I don't disagree, but it just makes me nervous that they're going to do something stupid and be like a fatal 4-way and just like take care of it all at once. Don't want it. Just makes me nervous. That's all I'm saying.
See, you're the negative one. I'm not negative at all.
How's it negative? All I said was it makes me nervous.
A lot of negativity coming from you. I just don't understand it, Ant. What?
It's not
so negative.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say we've been going for almost an hour. So let's take a break because we've got to come back and talk about Dynamite tonight and corporate synergy, street fight of some sort, a bunch of lead ups to the pay-per-view. And we've still got Rampage and Collision both live Friday night to lead into that pay-per-view. So there's still a lot to get to for us here to talk about Dynamite. And before we do that, we're just going to step aside. We're going to get a drink, recharge the batteries, and we're going to leave you with a few words from some of the other shows that are part of this fine Shining Wizards network.
Thank each and every one of you for tuning in every Monday night to listen to The Shining Wizards. If you'd like to continue to support us outside of listening, we've got a few ways for you to do that. If you shop at Amazon, go over to amazon.shiningwizards.com, do your shopping as usual, and when you make your purchase, a little bit of that purchase price will go back to support the show. If you like to wear t-shirts, merch.shiningwizards.com will take you to our Pro Wrestling Tees store, where we've got over a dozen great designs from over 11 years of professional wrestling podcasting. You can become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/wizardspodcast, where each and every week we call out your name as one of our show producers, and the more you support us, the more things that you're entitled to receive, and believe me, they are fantastic. If you can't support us monetarily, if you don't shop at Amazon, that's absolutely fine. Continue to listen to us wherever you listen to us on the World Wide Web, and make sure you like, rate, review, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Doesn't cost you anything, helps us out, and we can continue to bring you the love fest that is The Shining Wizards.
What's up, folks? It's your boy, the Impact Player, Mr. Philly Ray, inviting all of you to check out the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast. Join us as we cover all things current in the world of pro wrestling, as well as paying homage to the old school, the Squared Circle. So listen in and find out why we are the recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting. Find us on all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast from. And as always, we are the proudest members of the Shining Wizards Network and Rant Entertainment Media.
Are you tired of being lied to every day by the mainstream media?
Do you want to know what's really going on in the world?
Do you want to make up your own mind about things and not be told what to think or say?
Then listen to Inconclusive Breakdown, a weekly anti-PC look at the world of entertainment and current events, brought to you without censorship or filters.
You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts, BitChute, and on ShiningWizardsNetwork.com.
And also, we're a proud member of the Shining Wizards Network.
Got 30 minutes to kill?
Come check out 30 Screams or Less, where we review a horror movie in 30 minutes or less. We cover new movies and old ones too.
We'll give our honest thoughts on the movie, good or shit, as well as a rating of each one that we watch.
New episodes weekly, available on the Shining Wizards Network and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Corey.
Come check us out at 30 Screams or Less.
G'day guys, my name is Thomas, one half of the Broadcast Podcast. With our podcast, we go back and watch wrestling events from WWE, WWF, WCW, ECW, AEW, and many other wrestling promotions. You can check us out on Twitter at The Broadcast, that's TheBrokast, and you can also download all episodes on Apple Podcast, Castbox, Castro, and many other podcast apps.
You like your music heavy? Then check out Radioactive Metal on the Shining Wizards Network. For over 16 years now, Radioactive Metal has been one of the longest running podcasts. Over the years, we've interviewed some legendary metal acts, had some awesome discussions, and cranked a hell of a lot of tunes. So join your cool Uncle Snowy and his co-host Aaron for the audio mosh pit that is Radioactive Metal here on the Shining Wizards Network.
Well, the action is underway.
What's up, everyone? When on the Shining Wizards Network, be sure to check out Wrestling Night in Canada. If we're not recording another kick-ass podcast,
or playing in punk bands,
or recording kick-ass heavy metal albums,
then we're sitting back, we're grabbing a couple brews, and going over everything to do in the world of pro wrestling.
Because we're from Winnipeg, you idiots.
The Mark Order Podcast is the only show you need if you're looking for dedicated coverage of everything AEW on the Shining Wizards Network. Join us live on YouTube every Wednesday night at 10:15 p.m. Eastern after Dynamite to chat along with the show. If you can't join us live, listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all social channels at MarkOrderPod and use the hashtag #JoinTheMarkOrder, because if you don't find us,
we will find you.
I'm Kevin Rogue.
I'm Al Day.
And we're a couple of down under pounders that co-host Rogue Day Dots, an action figure collecting podcast where we talk about, well, just about anything that tickles our fancy at any given moment.
We're grumpy old men, and sometimes people get on our nerves. And when you get on our nerves, guess what? You get off the lawn.
Get off my lawn, asshole! We also go on a little bit of a mission. We go back and we're grading every wrestling figure line that's out there. I'm talking LJNs. I'm talking Jacks. I'm talking Hasbros. Who doesn't like a little Hulkaplex? It's a Gorilla Brain Wrestling podcast production found on the Shining Wizards Network.
I'm Duke Bags.
Kevin Rowe.
And together we are the co-hosts of Your Duke and Road. If you want to hear about some terrible wrestling shows, we got you covered.
Well, we talk about good ones, too.
We're currently talking about the death of WCW.
I know what we're fucking talking about. Sometimes we get guest spots, like from the Taskmaster. I like to listen to the Year of Duke and Rope podcast. They're funny guys. That I like when they talk about the Nards plows. I like Nards plows. That's a good move. And I like the Dungeon of Doom. You know, sometimes I call my butt the Dungeon of Doom. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Let me tell you a little bit about my favorite wrestling podcast. All right. It's a podcast with two men, Duke Bags, Kevin Rowe. They talk about professional wrestling. It's a man's sport. All right? And who better to talk about a man's sport than Duke Bags? Oklahoma.
And once in a while, Vince Russo stops by.
Oh, you piece of shit! If you're not listening to the Year of Duke and Rope podcast in the back with the boys, you piece of shit, I don't know what you're doing. It's, you gotta slide one in there. If you're a man, you're talking about something only a man can do. You're talking about sliding one in there. Bro, take the time to slide one in there. All right, bro, you piece of shit. Slide one in there. A Gorilla Brain Wrestling podcast production that you can find on the Shining Wizards Network.
All right, we are back here on the Mark Order podcast. Kate's computer is updating, so she'll be back maybe. We'll see. But we're here, and that's all that matters. And we're going to take care of some business real quick. First off, we would like to let you guys know that we will have a preview show for Full Gear on Saturday, mid-afternoon. We're not sure exactly what time yet, but Saturday we'll have a preview show going up on YouTube. So keep an eye on our socials. We'll let you know exactly when it's going to be out. So stay tuned for that. We'll give you our predictions and takes and all that kind of stuff. So that's one. The second piece of business is make sure you're following us on our socials at Mark Order Pod on X, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And please, if you could be so kind, give us a subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/MarkOrderPod, or just search the Mark Order Podcast on YouTube. We'll come right up. Subscribe. We're trying to get up to that 500 mark to help us out. We're inching closer every day. We had a few new subscribers over the past week. Thank you to everybody who's subscribed so far. And if you know somebody who enjoys AEW and the bullshit that we're talking every week, or if you do and you know somebody who might enjoy that, please send us their way. The other thing we'd like to remind you of is if you'd like to support us monetarily, why don't you check out our Pro Wrestling Tee store? Just go to our link tree and click the button to get directly to our store, or go to Pro Wrestling Tees /Mark Order Pod, or just search the Mark Order Podcast on Pro Wrestling Tees and you'll find our store, which actually is right here. And you see it here, folks. There is going to be a 10 days of Black Friday sale from November 17th, 1 p.m. Eastern to November 27th, 1 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled on the Pro Wrestling Tee store. Get some stuff, 50% off. Pick up one of our shirts. We'll be sure to remind you about it. But we have 4 shirts up in our store. 2 front prints, 2 double-sided. Make sure you pick whichever one you like. Some of that money comes back to help us out, put on this wonderful show. So thank you to everybody who's already bought a shirt. And thank you to all of those people who have yet to buy a shirt. You're waiting for the right time. Maybe this is that right time. So we appreciate it. All right, folks, with that, why don't we get into Dynamite tonight? The Go Home Dynamite episode before Full Gear. So we open up with a mini recap of the Devil and his masked men sort of destroying the Acclaimed at the end of last week's show. And they run down the card for tonight. But the first match we get is Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta versus Hook and Orange Cassidy. So taking a page almost out of the WWE, which is something I really just hate seeing going into pay-per-views, is when we have these singles competitors who are going at each other in a tag match. Don't always love it, but there is more at stake here. Wheeler and Hook have something going on. Moxley and Orange do. Getting to the end of this match, the Blackpool Combat Club does win by pinfall with the seatbelt pin from Wheeler Yuta on Hook. So Hook takes the L tonight. He's the only one who really could, I guess, if it wasn't going to be Yuta. And post-match, Jon Moxley cuts a promo on Orange Cassidy, talking about how he's going to grind him into dust and walk out of Full Gear as champion, and there's nothing that he can do to stop him. And they take their first break of the evening. So, Ryan, ultimate opportunist you are tonight. What'd you think of this match?
Debating whether I should act negative or not, just to please you people, but I will stick with my normal. I really enjoyed it. This made more sense than I get what you're saying, Ann, about not liking the tag before the singles. The only thing that makes sense here is that Yuta and Mox are in a group together, and Hook and Orange Cassidy for feels like months now have had at least some form of a relationship together, so that they're not thrown together. I hate it when it's thrown together, where it'd be like Orange Cassidy and like Penta. Like that would make no sense. Match was really good. I like the ending where Orange threw the orange punch and Mox didn't no sell it so much because he did stagger, but he didn't go down because it puts that seated doubt in on Orange Cassidy for the match Saturday. And you could see it in his face. He didn't quite know what to do. So I really enjoyed that. And then I think it was I can't remember the last time Hook is the one who took the pin or the loss. So that was pretty interesting too.
Well, he still hasn't lost in singles competition. But I think he has lost a few times in tag matches. Thoughts on it? Because I sort of felt the same thing that Scott George said. Hook looked inexperienced in this match. And I sort of felt the same way. This was sort of the first time that I can recall not thinking Hook really was looking at his best. Did you feel the same?
I think the pacing of the match felt a little bit maybe faster than what Hook usually moves at. So maybe that threw off some timing.
Okay. I mean, I get it. Oh, and Gordon Post reminding us that Jack Perry beat him for the FTW title. So he did take a loss in singles competition. Totally forgot because FTW belt doesn't really matter. So I hear what you're saying, Joe. Other than that, did you have any problems with the match or anything like that?
No, I liked the way the match started out with Orange and Hook with the aggression of just jumping the BCC at the start of the match, taking a page out of their book. And I think that kind of helps with the storytelling of Orange Cassidy as far as like he is super serious right now, really aggressive. But then to what Ryan said at the end, he's throwing everything he has at Mox and it's not working. So I'm interested to see what he'll have to do to try to overcome Mox and beat him if an orange punch isn't going to work this time. I enjoyed the Moxley mocking of OC with his kicks. It's always fun to see Mox with a little humor. But other than that, I wasn't really excited by the outcome. I thought that made sense. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at Full Gear.
Yeah, maybe we see Orange Cassidy sort of take it to that next level of violence, right? Like we've seen him be violent before in other matches, but there are no special stipulations to this match, right? To this point, it's just a straight up match. So Orange Cassidy, if it's not all going to work, he's going to have to pull something out of his back pocket. Sort of a pun, not really. Anyway, back from commercial, and Tony Schiavone set some ground rules that there's going to be no contact for this face-to-face between Swerve and Hangman Adam Page, because if they do, there will be a suspension for the remainder of the year. So he asked Swerve how he can justify going to somebody's house, and Page yanks the mic away to say it's because he's a coward, a fraud, a phony, and a grade A dumbass. Dumber today than he was 2 years ago when his dumbass got fired. 2 months ago, he said he wanted to be world champion, but he can see in him that he doesn't have it in him and he can't cut it. He's not the man he thinks he is, and it's that's why his fiance left him and his kids won't talk to him. He tells Swerve he's the one who wanted to make it personal and says that he surrounds himself with yes men. If he wasn't such a dumbass, he'd know that Prince Nana's just using him, because he comes out there, does his funny little dance and sells his shirts, and he makes his living off Strickland's back and goes down to the parking lot and spends his money buying weed from a high school kid. But after he beats Swerve's ass, he's going to beat Nana's ass and steal his weed. Sort of funny to hear from Hangman. I thought he was more of a drinker than a smoker, but either way. Hangman demands that Swerve look him in the eye and says he's not a man at all. He's a child, and he worked with kids for a long time, and he'll teach him the last lesson of his pathetic life, that you should never have come into his house. They don't need lawyers or cops, because at Full Gear, he's the judge, the jury, and the executioner, and he'll take him to serve in eternity at the bottom of hell. And he drops the mic and goes back to pick it up, saying one last thing, that tonight's stipulation is that they couldn't touch each other, but they didn't say shit about Nana. And he jumps Prince Nana and beats him down. Security then hits the ring, pulls him away, but Hangman fights them back. Buckshot lariat off one of the security guards, and we move on. So not a lot out of Swerve here tonight, but a whole lot out of Hangman. Joe, what did you think of what we got from Hangman tonight to build to this match?
I like that every now and then we get this fiery Hangman promo. We've seen it a couple times in the past. Whether it's with Punk or other people, other feuds he's had. He said dumbass way too many times for my liking. I thought that kind of weird to bring on. But I like the fact he got a little personal with Swerve, digging into his past since Swerve got personal with him. The line about not needing cops or lawyers, I wish they would have said that line the following week after the break-in. That way it would have helped set this up a little bit more because, logically, why doesn't people press charges when people break into other people's houses? And other than that, I feel bad for the poor security guard who had to take the buckshot. And why aren't there repercussions for that? That poor guy, just doing his job, Mr. Reyes.
It's funny. Mrs. Money said the same. She said something later, and it put it all into perspective. She said it when there was a backstage segment between the Bucks, which we'll talk about, and Jericho and Kenny. And it's sort of the same thing here. So she was saying, pro wrestling is the only place you can get away of where at work you can shit talk directly to your coworkers and not face any repercussions. And I guess it's the same thing as getting into fights because, boy, Hangman really did buckshot lariat the shit out of that security guard. No repercussions, no fines. He still has a job. That's fine. But you're right, Joe. No repercussions. Ryan, what'd you think of Hangman here tonight?
This is great. This is a good Hangman. I like that Swerve didn't say much. I actually think it made Swerve look cooler. He looked angry, he looked pissed. Swerve is definitely on the trajectory to be a champ sometime soon. He's got everything going for him. But yeah, Hangman's lines are great. I loved him attacking Nana. Nana broke in the house too. He deserved a beating. You know what? If you're going to be security for a wrestling company, you got to understand at some point you're going to get your ass kicked. And that's just kind of like goes with the territory. So all that worked for me. This is developed into one of my favorite feuds going. Like they made it personal. They built a story. And I think the match is going to fucking kill it. So everything here has been awesome.
I mean, we'll certainly talk about it in our sort of preview show to the pay-per-view, but I feel like right now this has potential to be match of the night all over it. There's a lot of pretty good stuff on the card. I mean, MJF Switchblade certainly, but this feud has really grown into something good. And this is only Hangman. This is Hangman Swerve 2, right? So you would assume that.
Yeah, and it was great the first time.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on. Roddy Strong and the Kingdom are interviewed backstage, and Strong says that he knows who the devil is, and he wants to tell his best friend. So they video call Adam Cole. And Cole says that MJF definitely isn't the devil, and maybe if he's throwing all these accusations around, that Roddy's the devil. So Strong swears on his life that MJF is the devil, but Adam isn't having any of it, and ends the call. So guys, anybody think that it is Roddy Strong? Ryan, you did say he's faking his injury.
I don't know if it's Roddy Strong. I mean, he is faking. It's very clear he's faking. I don't know if it's him. It would make sense, but then again, it would also provide kind of a neat twist to have Roddy not be in on it at all. Like, to even have him be shocked at like who the devil ends up being. So I'm very like it could be. I mean, I'm not gonna say it couldn't. Part of me thinks it'd be neat if it was another outside party, but either way, Roddy is faking his neck injury.
Joe, what about you? Would you be disappointed if it wound up being Roddy?
No, I don't think so, because he's been pretty integral into this whole story. So, I mean, it could be Roddy, it could be Adam. The more I've been thinking about it, maybe it's Wardlow. So, yeah, Wardlow, had these little promos about wanting to take everything away from MJF, and and just he's seen kind of like threat that's lurking in the shadows that people aren't necessarily focusing on as much right now. But yeah, I don't think that'd be disappointing with your outcome.
I'm still holding out hope that it somehow is Danhausen, because Danhausen was supposed to be on TV last week, not on TV this week. Maybe he's the man in the mask. I'm holding out hope, but it's funny.
If there's one thing I'm going to be negative about, it's the lack of Danhausen.
I mean, I'm not going to fault you for that, Ryan. Not going to fault you for that. Need more Danhausen. But it's funny, Joe, because I said the same thing tonight. Like, I did say, sitting on the couch with Mrs. Money, I said, maybe the devil is Wardlow. Like, it would make sense.
Not big enough.
Not big enough to be, or the devil's not big enough.
Yeah.
I mean, we've only seen this. We've only seen about as much of me as you have the devil.
Yeah, but the devil's like this, and if it's Wardlow, it should be like this.
Well, I guess that's right.
And welcome they did confirm that the wrestlers, like the people who are actually like the devil and co, are the people under the masks, for sure. I'm wondering if it's Stu Grayson and the Dark Order, because we have not seen them in a while.
The Dark Order would be an interesting twist.
Right? I think it could be good, because like that could also lead to Stu Grayson versus Jay White, which would be like a big pick-me-up. It would be awesome if Kyle O'Reilly was healthy and it was like all those guys. But Dark Order with Stu like being the one to lead it, I think could be a really, really interesting angle that I didn't think of until the other day. My dream is that it's regular Bullet Club, but I don't think it is. But like regular Bullet Club coming in to equalize Bullet Club Gold. If we were closer to Forbidden Door, I would be like, that's got to be it. But we're not close to any crossover pay-per-view, so.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be a great play for Forbidden Door. But I don't know. I'm still holding out hope that it's somehow Danhausen. Somehow. He is very evil. I'm just saying.
He is very evil. If there's anything we know about Danhausen.
I mean, he's nice, but he's also very evil.
Of course. He's very much both of those things.
Very.
I've said before, I want him to be MJF's partner to defend the ROH titles. That's my dream. I want them to pair up.
Would be nice.
Wouldn't hate it. Anywho, let's move on to our TBS Championship qualifying match or eliminator. I've seen it both ways. Red Velvet versus Sky Blue. Sky Blue back in her Scooby-Doo gear. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't know.
We got a lot of work to do, guys.
I've lost my notes. Oh, here they are. Sky Blue wins by pinfall with the code blue, sort of, to qualify for the TBS Championship match. Full Gear looked very confused on what to do getting out of the ring at the end. And there were some "this is awesome" chants in the middle of this match that I was very personally confused about. I'll say this. I thought Red Velvet's looked pretty good coming back. Sky Blue has not looked terrible in the ring, but there were definitely moments of this match where I was like, oof, where are we sort of like putting the mismatch on this? Pardon me, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, Jesse. Good to see you in the chat, pal. Thanks for joining us.
Ryan, you wave for Jesse Ozog.
Ryan wave.
Never. Never.
You know,
maybe Ryan's the devil, because who doesn't wave to Jesse Ozog? Honest to God.
I hope Jesse has the same heat for Ryan that for some reason Greg Cherry has for me. I don't understand.
Jesse started this.
I don't know.
You're both into history. It's a shame, really. Maybe you're too much alike.
There can only be one.
Things.
Two star-crossed lovers.
You're revising history. Jesse's not. There's room for both of you.
And you're proven liars. Can we just move on?
Oh.
By the way, I did not realize that Joe had a Mark Order shirt on tonight. It's like,
yeah, the gray throws me off.
I respect it. It's like the band wearing their own T-shirt situation. Yeah. I like it.
He's got the variant.
And you called me the downer, but you were the one hating on everything. That's why you're a proven liar.
No. I didn't hate. I just said I'm very confused.
We're just gonna hate. Anna's gonna hate.
So anyway, the moments that I'm talking about in this match was the double kick where they both clearly missed each other and knocked each other out. And then that code blue at the end was not great. I don't know. This didn't really do anything for me tonight. I like both of these wrestlers, so it was disappointing. But Kate, since you are back, not to throw you right into the women's wrestling side of the pool, because I know you probably went to grab chicken nuggets or something during this match. What'd you think of this one?
From the GIFs that I saw online, it wasn't great. I appreciate that they gave it real time. I appreciate that it was not in the 9:30 slot. But yeah, their chemistry just wasn't there. I thought Red Velvet actually looked a little bit better than Sky Blue here, and I think Sky Blue has grown a lot. I think the crowd wanted to be behind this, which I think is good. Like, I think people are trying to rally for this women's division, especially like the people that haven't been in the mix all that much. But I felt like the stuff that was really good in it was really good, and I thought the stuff that was not so great, like to your point, the double miss there, wasn't great. There was also, I don't know what Sky Blue was going for, but she kind of just like sat on Red Velvet's back at one point. I don't know if you caught that. I don't know what that was supposed to be, but just seemed like some communication issues that happens when there's not chemistry. But encouraging signs from the perspective of it got real time, encouraging signs from the perspective of the placement of where it was in the show, encouraging signs that there are stakes involved in these matches, right? This was a qualifier, so that's good. Mm-hmm. It's just trying to get all the elements aligned of those things with a match where the in-ring is great. And you don't have the advantage of, say, a Rampage where you can edit stuff. So I think this is just a symptom of a young growing talent and someone that just got back from injury not long ago, not being on the same page. But this is going the way I think that we thought it would. I'm intrigued to see what ends up being the booking for the TBS title, because I think there's a few possibilities that they can go to. And also, like, is Sky Blue evil or not? So this has been one of the better built stories, like, outside of the world title picture, because Chris has mostly just been having, like, kick-ass defenses over and over again. So good to see some, like, substantive story around this.
And we will, as announced before we got into Dynamite, we'll be giving you our predictions and previews Saturday. So make sure that you stay tuned to our socials. We'll let you know when to check that out. So we're going to hold off on our predictions until we get there. But
hell yeah,
that's some positivity out of Kate. Ryan, are you going to give the same thing, or are you going to go the opposite direction? And dear God, if we've learned anything, don't talk about spots.
That's right. That is my
That is
domain.
Kate's territory. That is not my territory. Before I get to my opinion, I just want to point out something. First, Jesse Ozog posts, I guess this is a Shakespeare quote, and I'm not going to read it all. But then the next thing Jesse Ozog posts, sup, to 1LT photo. So I just love the dichotomy there.
Of course, that's because Jesse Ozog is great, and you are off base in your negativity about him.
It's true.
Anyway, you know what? Maybe I'm so positive that my negativity has to go somewhere. I enjoyed this match. I do agree there were some missed spots. Don't attack me, Kate. But they were clearly trying for something that didn't always connect.
Ryan, real quick though, Ryan, you have to give some context to the listeners. You said that there were some spots that didn't work. What spots were they? You did it to yourself. You booked yourself into a corner, my man.
All you have to do is ask permission.
There were a couple times where I'm trying not to steal the ones you said because they were the two most glaring ones, where they kind of both missed but knocked each other out in the sky the code blue. But there was a point early on where they did a spot where they like ran by each other and then Red Velvet like clipped Sky Blue's leg and then did a moonsault onto her, and it just was a little too slow because you could see like Sky Blue adjust too much for the moonsault. But other than that, like I said, I liked what they went for. They were trying stuff. I'd rather this than a plotting, boring match. Like, give me even if it doesn't always hit, at least you're trying to make it fun because eventually it will connect, and that's all I care about.
Okay, so he avoided the spots. That was very good.
I named one.
I was,
it's fine. You're fined, but you're not suspended.
But I will pay 100% of my paycheck from this podcast to see you.
It's a 2-week paycheck, in its entirety, to me. Wow. But I'll put it back into the podcast.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Joe, without talking spots, what'd you think of the match?
I had one spot to talk about too.
Joe? We've heard. All you have to do is
ask permission.
Yep. You've got it. You can only one though.
I have some. Okay, one per match. I know in Sky Blue's matches, a lot of times they do this. They do that whole like quick pin, counter pin thing. They do a lot where they roll around or they do that. I'm kind of over that spot. They're clunky this time around, like most of the match was. And it's too bad because I felt like Sky and Red Velvet had both solid matches previous week leading up to this. So it was just kind of an off night for them. But I did like Excalibur kind of setting the stage for the match, talking about the history between the two. Talking about how Red Velvet beat Sky in all their previous encounters. So I enjoyed the storytelling, and we'll see how Sky develops. It's much like her attire, probably a mystery.
That's a very general. You could have said a lot of things about her attire. You could have been like, it's going to show a lot, like her attire. But you can talk about story all day. You know what I mean? I really applaud that. Good job. Good job.
Good work. I will say this. I do now know the answer to the question, who wears short shorts? Sky Blue wears short shorts.
So do I.
Ryan does too. We've seen
it. So does Kota Ibushi, man.
Yes, he does. They go to commercial and come back with Mariah May outside of not Tony Storm's dressing room, and she's with RJ City. And he promised to introduce Mariah to Tony, so they knock on the door. Luther opens it, to which I love turns black and white, and the sound gets all grainy, and he refuses to let them in at first. On a second try, RJ stops him and basically says, I promised her, and Luther lets Mariah through. And May tells Tony what a huge fan she is of hers. And, Tony is there with, cucumbers on her eyes, sort of lounging in her chair. And Tony says, no autographs right now. And Mariah keeps gushing and telling her how she came from, Japan, and she loved what she did in Japan. And, Tony is still getting a little upset. And Mariah eventually leaves. And that's when Tony Storm says to tell Luther to book her a tune-up match on Friday. And we do find out that Friday we are going to get Toni Storm and Emi Sakura in a tune-up match. So I like where they're going with this. I think we all sort of thought after the comments last week that Mariah was going to sort of play, the crazed fan role. And Toni would obviously keep playing her old Hollywood role, which I'm also, by the way, I laugh at the Hollywood homecoming aspect of this match coming up for Toni Storm because, yeah, Hollywood, I guess, is where she's from. But very funny.
Well, Timeless Toni definitely is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But still, I think this is all very good. Ryan, let's go to you first. Mr. Positivity, what do we think?
You can't name any spots of this segment.
0.
Okay, well, you missed my favorite part, my favorite spot of the segment, where there's a couple, but I'll try to leave. I will leave some for the others. I'm trying to leave some for the others. So I'm going to say the thing that you missed, Ant, which is when she called Tony Khan the studio director. Please tell the studio director, Mr. Khan, that I'm ready for a shoot on for a warm-up match on Friday or whatever. I really liked that. I will leave the rest for everyone, but I like this is how they're introducing Mariah May. I think this is a very smart way to get the AEW audience to know someone who they might not otherwise have been familiar with, especially because it kind of is giving a hint to her character. She's not just a crazy star fan, but she's also like a Hollywood person herself. Like that's a character to catch on to.
Random thought here. I did see one LT photo say understudy. Mariah May be the understudy. Could Mariah May go the route of being the stunt double for Toni Storm?
There's a problem with that.
Oh boy. Okay.
No, I like the idea in principle.
Oh boy.
But
Kate, he's stealing your thunder. I was throwing that to you, but Ryan's going to take.
It's the Ryan show. It's fine.
No, Ryan, come on, finish it up.
Oh, come on, we got to fill up the gears.
We've got a.
I was just gonna say, and Kate can answer this. Would people expect a Damien Sandow style stunt double?
I think you could. I feel like maybe there's a play to have. Maybe Saraya takes out Toni Storm in a non-title situation. Like if Toni Storm goes over, maybe like Saraya takes her out as some sort of revenge, and then Mariah May has to fill in. Like there's a fun understudy angle there. I think there's a lot of possibilities here. And one thing that just feels really encouraging is they can do whatever they want, and they've certainly led us astray before, but it does seem like there are some logical transitions of if Chris drops to Julia and Willow have a story, right? So like you're seeing a trajectory there. If Toni Storm wins, you could play this angle to get it to Mariah May. Because Toni doesn't need to have a long title reign with this character, I don't think. I feel like the money is in her losing, actually. So if you just have maybe it's just one pay-per-view cycle with Toni Storm or two, because now we have this World's End situation, it could be really fun if you have this understudy angle and Toni Storm keeps not being able to perform because of people taking her out, because of her own psychosis, because of whatever. Like, she was a normal person who is now cracked and is insane. So you can go a lot of directions with that. And I think that's a really great way to build up Mariah May. She's killing it with what this character is so far, which is really encouraging to see. I didn't really know her because I don't follow Stardom really closely. But she clearly has the character side of this down. I too loved the switching from color to black and white stuff. I thought it was hysterical. And this version of Toni Storm is just absolutely hilarious. But yeah, one LT photo saying like her upstaging it, like maybe Toni Storm loses a couple matches and that every time Mariah May fills in, she's getting these wins. Like there's a lot of possibilities here. But I think the Toni Storm not being able to perform and Mariah May filling in idea could be really fun. Could be really fun.
Joe, what do you by the way, the black and white is great, but I also loved that the audio, the sound quality got grainy, like an old record. Just all fantastic. Joe, what did you think about this whole segment?
That was one of the takeaways for me as well. I think that's something new that they've incorporated into this, and for some AEW production misses, they hit home runs like this whole timeless stuff, and all these vignettes have been great, and then all these backstage moments with her have been great, and they keep adding little detail to enhance it. So I really appreciated that, and going off of what you've been talking about with Mariah May and what could be, I keep envisioning the scene from Girls, that where the one girl pushes the other down the steps and takes her spot.
Yeah,
that's fun.
I mean, a Showgirls reference. Yeah.
Like a heel, because that could be a fun way to turn Tony face too if you want it, because she's so over anyway. Like you could have Mariah turn on her. That could be really fun.
Well, all I know is that this whole thing is working right now. So let's keep this train rolling and let's see. I mean, I really want Toni Storm to win this title on Saturday. If she doesn't, I'll understand it, but then you have to do something with her, because how much further can she devolve, right? I mean, she could, but I don't want to see her character change again, because that's sort of been what happens, right? She loses and her character changes, and then she loses and her character changes again. And like, they've all been pretty good, but this is definitely the best.
No, you're right. You've got lightning in a bottle. Like you have to go capture it.
Please.
And I did also want to say too, like her having her tune-up match against Emi Sakura, that I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was a report that came out about like talent usage and women's time on TV and stuff. And some of this feels like a pretty direct response, because I think one thing that we've seen while the booking's been up and down over the past few months is we've gotten a better rotation of talent, right? Like we've seen Julia and Sky Blue grow, and Red Velvet's back, and Emi Sakura was somebody that fans were demanding on TV. So even though like it is kind of a complaint of mine of that the women's title just seems to be being rotated through the same three women, we're at least getting more women on screen. So that is good. And I did just want to point that out, because Toni Storm versus Emi Sakura is like, both of them have Japanese history. Mariah May just came from Japan too. Like this is a good use of Emi Sakura, I think. So looking forward to the tune-up match as well, because it'll probably be a banger, realistically. Like I doubt it'll be a squash.
Is it a tune-up, or should she call it a dress rehearsal?
Oh, it would be great to call it a dress rehearsal.
Has to
or a run through.
A run through, yeah.
Either way.
I like it.
And I was just going to say, Kate, to sort of tag your point about using, more talent, it has also been refreshing to see Red Velvet, be used since she's come back, because they do have a habit of like, hey, let's put him on TV. And then like, we don't see him for like 8 weeks. Right.
And she's looked good. I mean, tonight wasn't great, but like her past 2 matches were really good. So it's encouraging for sure.
Yeah. So that is all good stuff. We now move on to squash match of the night. John Cruz versus Samoa Joe. John Cruz doesn't quite get out alive. Samoa Joe wins by submission with the coquina clutch, and post-match, he introduces himself and says that MJF is in his hood. So once again, he's going to extend his offer of friendship. And he wants us to know that the time is limited, because whether he has his friendship or not, he's Samoa Joe, and much like Thanos, he is inevitable. So MJF again with the bullseye on his back. Samoa Joe is coming for him, but he wants to help him out first. Joe, I'll throw it to you first. Asian Joe, that's what it is. Asian Joe, what do you think about this Samoa Joe angle offering friendship? Do you think MJF's going to take him up on it?
I feel like he will eventually. Otherwise, why have we been doing it? So, I mean, I think he'll be in that desperation mode, and maybe he'll try going alone, and Joe will just come out and be his partner, whether he likes it or not. But yeah, then I was watching the squash match, and I kept thinking, Serpenko wouldn't lose like this. He wouldn't lose like John Cruz loses.
No, certainly not.
He would have found a way. But I'm not talking spots, but I did appreciate John Cruz's facial expressions, especially when there is a particular time in the match.
Okay. We'll go to Ryan next to see if Ryan's going to steal that. Ryan, what do you have to say about Samoa Joe and everything around this match?
Oh, thank you for going to me before Kate. I get to do the most evil thing I've ever done on this podcast. The walkaway spot.
How fucking dare you?
Oh my God. Why would you do that?
I so rarely get to be the heel. When John Cruz jumps off the rope and looks at Joe like, what the hell, on the walkaway spot. How amazing was that? That is a gift that will be used for eternity. It was so perfect. It like the look and like the what the hell. Both guys in sync. I mean, the walkaway spot's amazing as it is. I don't know if people talk about this enough, just about how good that spot is. And then John Cruz to add to it. Perfection.
Why don't you just talk about how great the stage at Collision is, Ryan? Why don't you just go ahead and do that?
Guys, have you seen the stage at Collision?
It was sarcastic, Ryan.
I thought you wanted me to talk about it.
So, peek behind the curtain, we were going to talk about like 2024 plans after this episode, and I think those no longer include Ryan. I'm just going to say it. So, Ryan, you're free to go after the conclusion of this episode. Even better. This is how I prefer it. I was going to say I wish my computer hadn't updated and fixed itself because now this son of a bitch is here. The walkaway spot, the greatest spot in wrestling, a spot that Samoa Joe in an interview recorded like a I'll be thinking of you thing after, for me specifically, said, Kate Elizabeth, next time some high flyer is rogue, basically, and I walk away from it, it'll be for you. I have that voice memo on my phone. It's a very personal spot to me. So not only did you mention a spot, you mentioned the spot, and that's unfucking-givable. Sorry for cursing.
It's okay.
It was warranted. It was a great walkaway spot. It was like a top 5 walkaway spot since he's been in W easily. Like the only one that I can think of that even rivals it is the gravity walk one, because that was so incredible. Especially because this walkaway spot was about 60% of this match, maybe 70% of this match. It was a very short match. The cocaine and clutch were like kind of all that happened, really. Joe, I think it was a very astute observation on your point that Serpenko would never have lost this way, and neither would the one-time appearance of the fella Ben Deho, I believe, who was on ROH, had a similar build. Mm-hmm. But this is good. This is good from Joe. He's coming for MJF's title, whether he's on his side beforehand or not, I think is interesting, and I don't think there's a wrong way to go, because I think if there's anybody who's going to exploit Max's vulnerability, it's going to be this guy, right? Like, if MJF is weak for a moment, like who's better to sniff out the blood in the water than Samoa Joe as the shark? Like, that's really, really interesting. And certainly the end of this show kind of feels like, if you're doing wrestling math, Max is going to beat Jay White. I think we kind of thought that anyway, because why would you set up the Samoa Joe story if he wasn't going to beat Jay White? So if we get that at World's End when his contract is up or not up, or up or not up, that makes that very interesting, because if Max retains, you have him almost CM Punk style departing with the belt, right? He can go put it in the fridge all you want, or you have Samoa Joe with the belt and MJF, who just lost everything at the time of his contract, and both of those are exciting possibilities. Unless we, of course, have this big announcement that I'm sure we're going to talk about later of, hey, someone. Yeah, we'll talk about it later, but that being a possibility of is it a contract extension? That's this big announcement. So, I think story wise, it's really interesting. I think MJF could either be on his side and then turn on him in a really vicious way, or MJF can reject him, and that can be Samoa Joe's excuse to take it up a notch, right? And just start like doing those spots where he just attacks people from behind and chokes them out and stuff like over and over again. Well, MJF's getting more and more vulnerable. I think there's a lot of really good storytelling possibilities, and Samoa Joe's just great at all of them. It's just like one of the best big men ever. Love that dude.
Ryan, you really fucked Kate up there. I just want you to know that. He
fucked me up, but more than that, like he fucked himself up because he has no idea what's coming.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well,
I know you have a bad knee. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
been watching a lot of technical wrestling this year, so you better watch that.
I feel confident your technical pro wrestling is not a threat.
Yeah, that's right, Kate. Remember, he's gonna punch me in the back of the head when I'm not looking and knock me out. So
I fight dirty.
Yeah,
is that a donkey punch?
Yes, I got a donkey punch Ant.
Well, good for me, because then if he tries to, sexually assault me, he's already told me he wishes he had the 7-inch. So good for me, I guess.
Yeah, when you're dealing with like a 14-incher, you wish you could cut it in half.
Okay, I see what you're doing. It's not working.
Swerved you there.
I thought we were talking about vinyl. Why would you cut a record in half? That makes no sense.
Doesn't.
You really just bought it for the cover and the art. You don't actually play it on the record player.
It's not true.
You're a disgrace. Which we already knew, but still.
Oh, absolutely. They did recap the TK announcement of the Continental Classic. We did talk about that before. Kate, you did miss that conversation, so I will just toss it to you if you would like to give any thoughts on this Continental Classic tournament. Just so you know, Ryan was super positive. He told me that Joe and I were super negative, but mainly me. Because we sort of were unsure about the tournament.
No. They claim unsurety, but they shit on it the entire time.
It's not true. You can go back to the first hour and hear the conversation.
I have no reason to trust Ryan at all. Like complete breach of trust. So I'm gonna say that Ant and Joe probably.
Oh, you son of a bitch! Did you really mute her, Ryan? Oh my god. You are just really cruising for a bruising.
One night to be a heel, and I'll take it.
You don't know who's on the disciplinary committee. That's all I'm saying. I'm very excited about
one
this.
Of 3 people.
I'm very excited about this tournament.
There you go.
I think it'll be good. It feels like over the past week and a half or so, they've made a very conscious effort to kind of return to their roots about it. You're announcing that Bryan Danielson is entering it, and I think you're going to set up Bryan and Kenny too, would be my guess out of this, with the possibility of this Daniel Garcia story coming into play. Like maybe that's Danielson's one loss because Garcia already has that one up on him. Maybe Danielson wins, but like sees something in Daniel Garcia if he still needs someone to lead him. I think that could get very interesting. But what my hope is that this is filled with like what we saw at Roddy Strong on Saturday, right? Like, give me that caliber wrestler through this entire tournament and not a single fucking Jeff Jarrett, whatever the fuck. Like, you said it's going to be the best tournament ever with the best of the best talent that you have. Follow through on that and get some talent that has been great and floating around aimless into this tournament. Like, where the hell is Scorpio Sky? He came back. He's nowhere to be found. Stu Grayson, if he's not the devil, put him in this. Like, get those great wrestlers who aren't doing anything on your television. But if I'm Tony Khan, I'm booking Kenny Omega on one side of this and Bryan Danielson on the other. It just feels like the right way to go.
Well, we will see as we build to that tournament final at World's End pay-per-view in Long Island. But for now, let's move on to our next match of the night. Commander and Penta El Zero Mierdo versus the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks fight a little dirty at the end here, and they get the win by pinfall with the BTE trigger on Commander after Nick Jackson kicks both of them in the balls. And they go to break, but come back with the Young Bucks being interviewed backstage. Matt Jackson says that they no longer give a damn about rules or what they're supposed to do. So Kenny Omega rolls up, and they reassure him that their beef isn't with him, it's with Chris Jericho. And then Jericho joins them and calls them jackasses. And that's when Matt blindsides him, and security has to pull him apart. And then commentary hypes up the ticket on sale date for All In 2024. So, Young Bucks, Penta match, Penta and Commander match, and the aftermath. Kate, I'll throw it to you first so nobody can steal your spots. What'd you think of the match and everything Young Bucks?
I liked Commander's rocket launcher crossbody very much. I also liked the twisting Hurricane Rana that he had in this. I liked the assisted double spike DDT where he was like on his back. I thought that was very, very fun. And I thought the match was really good overall. This is not like my favorite style match, but I don't care. It was a blast. There were a couple things on the show that I was like, this is not for me, but it was still really fun. Like that plunder match was not for me, but I still had like fun watching it. I thought this was good, and it's nice to see the Bucks feeling like they're back on track a little bit here. Like they've been referenced in their promo that people have been kind of saying like that they have been kind of seeming uninspired or whatever. And I feel like them being fired up in this heel angle is really good, especially going into next week. The only thing that I don't like about it is I just could not care less about the Golden Jets. I think it sucks. This is not who I would have Kenny Omega hanging around with. And a Chris Jericho face is not like something for me. Like Jericho should always be heel, and he should probably be comedy heel most of the time. So I just don't give a shit about the Golden Jets at all, unfortunately. But I like this out of the Bucks. I think they desperately needed this. And I thought the match was a whole bunch of fun. And even though it was like choreographed, it was fun choreographed. I'll take it.
Okay. So Ryan and Joe were checking off a bunch of those spots as you went through them.
Joe can take whatever's left. Ryan's not allowed to talk about his spots. He's banned.
I was going to throw to Joe next to see if you could steal anything else from Ryan.
Let's hope so.
Not just a couple observations. I enjoyed the pairing of the match of the two teams. I thought it served its purpose to entertain the Bucks' hometown, giving them kind of the high-flying, fast-paced action that they would come to expect from a Bucks match. Good to see Commander used a lot. He seems like he's been thrown into a lot of matches lately. Especially with Phoenix out. So, and other than that, the Bucks going heel, like the same energy as Ryan being a heel. It's just like it's a little crazy sometimes. It's kind of finding its way. There's some kicks to the nards, but I'm here for it. I prefer them as heels, and hopefully maybe Kenny turns on Chris, because why should Kenny have so much backing towards Chris all of a sudden?
Interesting. Ryan checking off a couple more things during Joe's comments. Ryan, what's left? Pick the bones.
There's really not much left. Kate even said how much she loved it, which is my line. I will say I like the Bucks as heels. I think they are a much better heel team. They just have that arrogant douchebaggery about them as a character that I think they play really well. Also, some fans just naturally want to hate them, so why not lean into it? There was that that spot early in the match where they shook hands and then they delivered the super kick. And I'm not gonna lie, that was really awkward. It felt like they were too slow to do the super kick. But other than that, a really good match. I like that they're using Commander for Ray Phoenix why he can't wrestle. It's a way to keep using Penta with a guy who wrestles a very similar style. It all kind of flows naturally. I really like that. And I hope when Phoenix comes back, Commander just doesn't disappear. I almost hope we have like a little bit of a lucha stable.
Well, they already have LFI.
But they're LFI, but they're not really lucha. Like they're all big guys who beat you up. Except, well, I guess 2/3 lucha. Yeah,
when he's healthy.
But I'm talking more lucha style guys.
Okay, just making sure.
You want like a lucha world order?
Oh, an LWO, if you will.
Why has no one done that?
It's a good point.
It's literally happening on WWE right now.
I don't get what.
Kate, Ryan's trying to whisper to you, but I think his mic sucks.
Yeah, I can't hear anything, but that's how I prefer it because Ryan stole.
I thought side conversations were this.
Wait, they're just hand over the mouth.
No.
They're just hand over the mouth.
It's like
the tunnel of discussion. Yeah,
like
real quick. Could you
and we're zoned in right now. Nobody can hear us or see it. Oh, hi, Joe. Yeah, you're zoned in right now too. I get it.
I can't hear you at all, Ryan. You muted yourself or something.
Wait, can you not talk like this?
No.
You can't hear
like
me?
the sound of you clapping. No.
Clap.
Holy shit, my mic picks up so my mic's great in that it really filters out a ton. Not great when I want to be absurd.
Clap into your mic again. Nope, not a sound. Not a goddamn sound. Anyway.
I thought maybe my ears were like my heart and that they were stomped on and you could find the remnants of them on the bottom of your shoes.
Oh boy.
And then I would walk away.
I wish you would. Honestly, I wish you would. It's not funny.
He's gloating. I don't know why. So we move on. Our next match.
Please.
Austin and Colton Gunn versus who, Kate?
I forget.
Oh.
Scroll my notes. Oh, it was my Pretty Peter.
Yes. I don't know who the other guy was. I missed that.
Was it Cesar Bonini? Bonino?
I don't know. But the Ass Boys do hit the 310 to Yuma on not Pretty Peter Avalon.
The thing is, when Pretty Peter Avalon's in the ring, no, it was Jacoby Watts. I don't know who that is. When Pretty Peter's in the ring, I don't really see anybody else. So,
if you had told me it was Jacoby Shaddix, I would know that, but I don't know Jacoby Watts
or Ellsbury.
Oh, well, does anybody remember him? Because the last 5 years of his contract, he was somewhere in Florida training to come back from injury.
I was going to say the fact that he made it to this match is more impressive than anything he would have done as a New York Yankee.
True. So straight up squash, and then they're building to the title match on Sunday. I don't know. Does anybody have anything they want to add about this, except maybe Kate, the fact that you loved seeing how pretty Peter was?
Well, he's very pretty. But that it's still weird seeing the Guns get a dominant win, but it makes sense for the story. But yeah, I mean, I got to see my pretty Peter, so it's a beautiful day.
Well, that's good. Because you have gone on the record. I think you said you would like to, you wanted to go to lunch with him?
No, I said several times during the game, fuck, marry, kill, that I wanted to fuck Peter Avalon. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. 1LT Photo says, Kate, did you know Alex was on 1,000 Ways to Die?
I had heard that as recently as an hour ago when my computer was updating. And yes, I will be confronting him about it very soon. And we will find out what episode that was on.
I honestly, maybe I'm the asshole, Alex.
My Tuesday night host.
Oh,
well, you do have two hosts named Alex, so
I do. Yeah, I have a Friday Alex and a Tuesday Alex.
Oh,
but yes, Sour Grapes.
Got it. And then we get the Wardlow video package backstage where he's talking about taking everything from Max, which makes makes me wonder if he might be the devil too, but might not be. It's a lot of. Oh, you good? Is your
Guys, what if the devil is just Doja Cat?
Ooh, sexy.
I think it could be because she sang that whole song.
I have no idea. I don't know.
She's the devil. The thing that the women's division did. Why won't my camera stay?
No. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on from this into our huge Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name Street Fight, presented to you by Sega. Game available on multiple platforms right now. Sorry, I feel like I'll get in trouble if I don't say that. They're not paying us, but I just feel like
they should be.
They should be. The Don Callis family, which was Kyle Fletcher, Konosuke Takeshita. Oh, me messing up my buttons. Sorry.
Powerhouse.
There it is.
And a special Brian Cage versus the Golden Lovers, Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, and Jericho, although they can't call themselves Jericho, Chris Jericho and Paul White. No more BS. And they get underway. There's a whole bunch of craziness in this match. I'm going to leave all the spots for you people to talk about. I'm not going to mention anything in particular. But I will say this. If you don't enjoy car crash matches like this, then I understand how this wouldn't be for you. What I enjoyed without talking about spots were some of the wrestlers dressed up like characters in the game. I don't know who those characters were, but one of them was definitely Takeshita and Jericho, and Paul White for that matter. And it should also be mentioned that after Dynamite, it did become an official announcement that Kota Ibushi is officially All Elite. So prior to this, he had said that he had signed a flexible deal that allows him to remain based in Japan while he flies in for a limited number of dates. Who knows if maybe they were just waiting to put the graphic up until a specific time, but they did put it up for him here. And fast forwarding to the end, the Golden Lovers and Jericho win by pinfall. One winged angel from Kenny on Brian Cage. Pretty impressive. Cage isn't a small dude. And I also appreciated in the Sega font, the GMSI on Brian Cage's pants. So that all happening. I'm going to give it to Asian Joe first this time. What do you think about?
Since this is the last match of the night,
yeah,
Joe, have at it with spots.
Do you want to whisper to him or no?
Yeah, actually, Joe. And did you want to come in on this? You're invited.
You want me? Okay.
Yeah. If you guys want to talk about spots, this is the last match of the night. I say, have at it. There were so many spots in this to call out. Obviously we have to take disciplinary action against Ryan. So if you guys want to talk about specific spots, fire away, man. Like you guys go ahead. You've earned it tonight. I'm really proud of you. I think we're doing great as a team. Obviously there's an elephant in the room that we have to talk about. He's an elephant with a weird accent, and he's always wearing a hat and a solid colored t-shirt. Okay. And we'll talk about it after, but just knock yourselves out with spots.
And it is weird, right? That wait, where'd you go? Oh,
no, I'm back.
It was weird that he did say that he only wears the Phillies hat because it's the most comfortable and he doesn't really know much about the team. I thought that was kind of weird.
It was kind of weird. I'm starting to doubt everything about his hometown and his allegiance.
I had your stuff mic'd,
So
I
I
heard
don't
everything.
know.
Did you make a fat joke?
Can we?
That's really rude, Kate.
Do you hear anything? I don't hear anything. Do you hear?
That's
anything?
rude. Call me a fucking elephant? How dare you?
We're in this isolated.
Anyway,
dare you?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt anything. Joe, you had thoughts?
Yeah, Joe, your thoughts.
The stream fight, it was fine for me. It was what I would have come to expect with a sponsored street fight, I guess, really gimmicky. But I thought it was a good way to put Paul White in there to help kind of help put Hobbs over with his power and strength with some of the spots he did, like slamming him onto a car.
Great call, Joe.
I thought it also a good way to use Ibushi because we've seen Ibushi not move around that anymore, and but seeing him get pile driven into a stack of chairs by Kyle Fletcher was a hell of a bump. And I'm trying to think what else that really stood out to me. Ibushi took some really interesting spots. Actually, he the suplex on the bicycle. I mean, you get all 10 gears of that bicycle as we head into full gear.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, other than that, it was fine for me. It just didn't necessarily get to that next level for me. But if you liked the plunger, then this was for you.
Okay. Kate, I'll give you the option. Would you like to go next to stick it to Ryan?
Well, yeah, I just also wanted to invite you back into the conversation if there was anything that you felt like pointing out before I go.
I did enjoy the bicycle spot.
Okay, very great spot.
Ibushi riding down the ramp in the bicycle with the smallest, lightest hits of the lead pipe on the passersby, to then just get destroyed by a clothesline off of it. Was really fun. I also, Kyle Fletcher taking that bump off the ramp through the table, the choke slam from Paul White, that was a big one too. But yeah, it had a lot of good moments. Those two were the ones that. Also, sorry, one more. I feel like if I don't name three, it's like some weird energy. The Brian Cage suplex in out through the table, just another fantastic spot. But I don't necessarily love these car crash matches. This was fine. So Kate, I'll throw it back to you.
Oh, sure. I just want to say great spots that were outlined by both of you. I'm really appreciative of the work that you did on this.
I hope I didn't take them all from you, Kate.
No. There's always more to talk about.
Okay.
Loved the double golden triangle moonsaults. Thought that was very fun. There were just some just classic patented Kenny Omega V triggers in here that looked really good. Like he laid them in kind of sneakier spots, and the unsuspecting V trigger is always a lot more fun than like when he calls for it. So I just thought that those were really, really good. The duct tape spot I thought was kind of funny. But yeah, Kyle Fletcher showed out in this in a way I almost didn't want him to, because I was like, don't you go down with an injury too. Like, you have nothing to gain from this match. I did also think it was very smart of them to keep Paul White's involvement very, like, it was just a very small amount of it. I hope he's okay after the car spot that you guys so beautifully discussed already. Also thought the Judas effect after the fire extinguisher spot was actually pretty good. Like, sometimes when Jericho hits those, he doesn't hit them with like tenacity. That one he got real good, and it was on Takeshita, so it's important. Loved Cage hitting that pump handle slam on Jericho as well. But yeah, we get the one-winged angel. To your point, like, Cage is not small. It looked really good. Kenny looked kind of jacked. Like, he put on some mass, I feel like. He's looking good. So this match, I was like, this is not a wrestling match that I like, but this is fun enough for what it was supposed to be. And if you're riding a bicycle down to the ring, it's not a a gasoline can rather, but it's pretty all right. It's a pretty good time.
Okay. Ryan, can you pick the bones clean?
Please do no.
I demand an apology for the fat joke. We will address that later.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Kota Ibushi needs to learn to ride a bike better. He seemed quite nervous.
Negativity over here.
I think Paul White is dead.
R.I.P. Paul White and also R.I.P. Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah, Kyle Fletcher's dead.
John Levin never said Paul's dead. So I think Paul White's okay.
Let's hope so.
And why would you wear a suit to a street fight? That's the last thing I have to say.
He looked like he came from the holiday cocktail hour at work, and it cracked me up. Jericho did.
It was solely game from the game. That's the only reason.
And he did that in Jericho too. He was like corporate Jericho in the Jericho angle.
Very true.
Corporate, but you're in a fight. You don't wear a suit to the fight.
Oh my God!
It's just the character of the game. Come on.
Have you met James Bond or Jason Statham or any other people? Have you seen? They always fight in tuxedos.
Wait, hold on. Have you met James Bond?
Yeah, seriously. What the hell?
I don't know what I do in my life.
Are you James Bond? Never mind. We'll talk about it off air. It's fine.
They're forced to fight in tuxedos. They don't choose to fight in tuxedos.
Did you say John Wick, Asian Joe?
No, I didn't.
John Wick's another one. And might I say, he looks good doing it.
He sure does.
Real
good. Whip on my shit dropping.
Ryan, I didn't mean to jump in there. Were you finished?
Sure.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to the final segment of Dynamite. MJF makes his way to the ring and says that after the brutal attack on the Acclaim last week, it has become crystal clear that he can't run from his past, and that every time he opens himself up and lets people in, they get hurt. Sometimes he does feel cursed, so that's why he wants to say to the Acclaim that he is sorry that they got caught in the crossfire, and he's sorry they got hurt and hopes that they feel better. But he moves on to say that he spent every waking moment trying to get to the mountaintop, and he's proud to say he's made it, but it's not all glitz and glam. The air is thin up there. It's daunting and it's lonely. And as he looks down in all directions, he sees men climbing with only the intention to shove him off the top. And he's man enough to admit that he's afraid he can lose everything he's worked for in the blink of an eye. And he's afraid he's going to let us down. But the old him would have tucked his tail and ran, but he's done letting his past dictate his future. So he's afraid, but he's not willing to quit or give up his spot at the top of the mountain. So you'd better send a whole army to get his ass come off the mountain. And Jay's been walking around with the title that he hasn't earned, and he has a chance to take that spot, but Max doesn't think he can. He doesn't think anyone can, because his name is Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He's better than you, and you know it. But that's when somebody enters. Was it Cardblade? I can't remember.
And it's funny you should try and clarify that, because it's actually who the guy that is on Cardblade is based off of, and that man is Switchblade. Jay White.
That feels right. You're right. It was the Switchblade. And he says Max is going to make him sick and he should drop the act because he's embarrassing himself. He's trying so hard to be the hero, but that is not who he is. He's the villain. He always has been. And the devil mask distractions aren't fooling anyone. See, Ryan, back to, I'm sorry, everyone. Real quick, back to the beginning of the show, talking about Marvel. It's a very low-key storyline for MJF. Asian Joe, you picking up what I'm spilling. I know that. Anyway.
See a multiverse. It's just one universe.
Well, Switchblade told us time and time again, Switchblade says that Max has told us time and time again that he's the devil and no one's on his level. but he's not the hero. He's not the people's hero or their scumbag, and his days as the AEW World Champion are numbered. And he's got 2 words for you. Get him. And that's when the Ass Boys and Juice hit the ring, but MJF fights them off for a moment. Juice is able to knock out MJF with his left hand. 310 to Yuma follows, and then Jay rolls Max over and picks him up for the Blade Runner. And Bullet Club Gold are left standing tall at the end, but we do see Samoa Joe watching from a monitor backstage, even though he wasn't really watching the monitor right. Like, we know that, Kate. He's still there. That's it. Kate's doing monitor pose. Thank you.
He was like,
his whole body was turned. I didn't like it. Totally.
Yeah, it was
wrong.
weird. Made me itchy.
So Max is left in a pile. The heels are standing tall leading into Sunday. I'm going to go Ryan here first. Seems only right. Ryan, what would you like to say about MJF's promo, the Bullet Club Gold, all this?
Should not have ended the show. This was fine. I like, you got to have him be a little bit in peril, and I like the Joe stuff, but it shouldn't have ended the show. The street fight should have ended the show.
Okay. Joe, what do you think here?
It was fine for, I guess, a go home promo, but I was waiting for something else to happen. It just felt like there should have been something else to happen, whether it's an interruption by the devil or something else. Like, just I was waiting for something, and it just kind of ended pretty plainly and boring for me.
Okay.
It was safe.
Kate? It was safe.
It was safe. I feel like you can't do a plunder match followed by this. I don't know if the plunder match needs to close the show, but it shouldn't have been sequential with this. That did feel like a pacing error. I don't know what else you would have changed, because if you want to go home with this, I guess you put the plunder match like right up front. But the devil's not Marty Scurll, guys. No way. So it was fine in a vacuum. I just feel like the sequencing of it wasn't great, but I'm very intrigued by a lot of stuff here. Like, it seems like there's a couple ways they could go with Joe. There's a couple ways they could go with Max. There's like a lot of genuine intrigue around who the devil is. It's not like completely obvious, right? So I do think it's good that there's a lot of things for the first time in a while on AEW television. It feels like we don't know what direction it's headed, but that they do know what direction it's headed, which is all I ask. That the promotion knows what's going on and I don't, is a good barometer, and that's happening all over the place in this world title picture. So I just like that we're seeing MJF start to crack a little bit, and it's interesting to me. I like it.
Well, it was quite a go home for Dynamite, but we still have live Collision and Rampage to get to Friday night before we get into the festivities for Full Gear on Saturday. So there's still a lot more to get to before we hit that pay-per-view.
So get your gears full.
That's right. Get your gears lubed up, greased up, whatever you need to do. Make sure your chain's not slipping off the gears, or your belts if you're in a car, I guess, and strap in. You can also, we're going to talk about our predictions and sort of run down the full card before the buy-in. So make sure you're tuned into our social channels. We'll give you an exact time that's gonna be there on Saturday. So you'll hear all our thoughts on the pay-per-view before the show actually starts. And then we will talk about it when we return here next Wednesday night. Now, moving on to some of the other news that's happening, that's happened since last week in AEW. First thing we should note is that the Bunny is no longer with All Elite Wrestling. She has been completely removed from the official roster page. And I guess her contract is run up. They decided not to renew her. She competed in 3 matches this year. She lost a match against Jamie Hayter in February before going on injury reserve for 6 months. And then she returned to action at Fight for the Fallen in mid-August. She lost a match against Britt Baker, and was also on the losing end of a match, a trios match on Rampage in early September. The Bunny was with AEW since 2019, and was previously Allie in Impact Wrestling. So we'll see where she might be able to wind up. She seems healthy and ready to go. And there was also some speculation on the Butcher and the Blade, but they are still on the roster page. Some people think their contract's coming up and maybe they would show up somewhere like Impact. But right now it looks like they are still on the roster, at least according to the website. So that's one thing that came out last week. Don't know if anybody wants to tag on to anything there, but
I just think she's great. She's hysterical. I hope that she's okay because she's been injured a lot. She's spoken up about mental health a lot. So you just hope that her physical, mental, and emotional are good to go. But I think she's underrated with how hysterical she can be in the ring. And I look forward to whatever she chooses to do next.
Well, hopefully she does wind up somewhere where she can showcase her talent. Yes. Let's see. New Japan was in Texas on November 10th with the Schlong brand for the Lone Star Shootout. Kate, I think you watched along with that.
I did. I watched along on delay, but what a fun pay-per-view that was. Good shit.
Well, it looks like Eddie Kingston got his next challenger after he retained the New Japan Strong Openweight title over Satoshi Kojima. He was attacked by Bullet Club's Gabe Kidd. Gabe's known for his hard-hitting offense as well as his mic skills. So a program with Eddie is likely to be a good program. For those who care, the Lone Star results were Shingo Takagi defeated Trent Beretta to retain the Never Openweight championship. Mayu Watani defeated Stephanie Vacker to retain the IWGP Women's title. ZSJ defeated Mike Bailey to retain the New Japan World Television Championship. The BCC, which was Wheeler Yuta and Jon Moxley, defeated the Bullet Club's David Finlay and Kenta. Eddie Kingston, as we just said, defeated Satoshi Kojima before being attacked by Gabe Kidd. So he retained his New Japan Strong Openweight Championship. Mystico defeated TJP. Gorillas of Destiny defeated the West Coast Wrecking Crew to retain the New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team Championship. Gabe Kidd, Clark Connors, Chase Owens, and Alex Coughlin of the Bullet Club defeated Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Kushida, and Kevin Knight. Toru Yano defeated Joey Janela. Atlantis, Tiger Mask, and Mascara Dorada defeated Ultimo Guerrero. Rocky Romero and Hechichiro. Fred Rosser defeated Tom Lawler in the pre-show, and Matt Vandegrift defeated Barrett Brown in the pre-show.
It was really good. It was really good. The main was fun. ZSJ and Speedball was fun. And then I went and watched the pre-show off the stream we did. And Tom Lawler is just awesome. He's filthy, one might say.
Filthy, dirty, filthy. So guys, here's something we definitely need to talk about. They mentioned it tonight on the show, but we were sort of holding it till we got to this point. So this afternoon, November 15th, Tony Khan put out a tweet saying that AEW has agreed to terms with one of the world's best wrestlers, a pro who is known and respected by virtually every AEW fan. They'll come to LA to sign their contract this Saturday, 11/18 on pay-per-view at Full Gear. And then he basically said, see you for the final Dynamite before Full Gear. Clearly, there are a couple big names out there. One that everybody's talking about is Will Ospreay, but we know that his Contract's not necessarily up until April, although there's a working relationship between AEW and New Japan. So maybe they could have worked the deal out to let him go early for something. Who knows? I'm just throwing names out here. I'm not saying it is or isn't. Mercedes Moné is also out there. She was at All In. She couldn't do anything. She was in her boot. I don't know what her status is now, but LA showing up at the pay-per-view to sign, that's a big one. Sami Callihan is also hanging out there. There are ties. I don't need Sami Callihan. A lot of other names like Dolph Ziggler, Mustafa Ali. But if they were signed to specific contracts, there are no competes, likely are not up at this point. It all depends on the situation. And then there was one more, but I can't remember. So I'll hold it. But definitely
Matt Riddle got thrown around. Julia got thrown around, but she's in March, I think, is when her contract is up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There was one more that I thought of, though, and I was like, oh, this might be one to throw out. If I think of it, I'll definitely say throw it out there to you guys.
I thought of Shibata because he's been like kicking around but not signed, and he has an ROH title. But
Right.
I feel like that would be them doing what they're really good at, which is overselling an announcement.
Sure. So is there this actually? I just remember the name because it was coming up. I had seen it coming up. So one that I thought of was Okada. His name was hanging out there. I saw somebody put it in the chat too. Pieces put it in the chat, but I had seen that earlier in the night somewhere running around. The other one that came up in the chat that I had thought of on the couch, and I think I even said it to Mrs. Money, which was funny. Marty Scurll. Again, don't need Marty Scurll. Don't think any of us really want Marty Scurll, but that name is out there. To say he's respected.
Yeah, I feel like you're going out of your way.
So anyway, my thoughts too are the fact that if it's somebody who's already there with them, like if they had said we're going to sign somebody and then it winds up being Ibushi, it would have been, bad, right? I would say the same thing, like, oh, if it's an MJF thing, right? Like, he's not signed and they're going to sign, I feel like that would fall flat. What do we think? Is there anybody else out there maybe we're not thinking of? Kate, I'll throw it to you first. You just look like you're raring to go.
I think there's a few things in play. One, to your point, the 90-day competes are up for anybody who is on a standard main roster WWE contract. Where that gets interesting is Mustafa Ali was in NXT, and they don't usually revert the contracts back to the 30-day non-compete when you go back to NXT as a main roster talent, because I think your contract just carries over, because I doubt he was like, you know what, I'm really happy at making $60,000 in NXT instead of my other contract. So I think the terms just carry over, but he's a really special talent that was wildly underutilized. But people saying Dolph Ziggler, people saying, I haven't heard like the Maximum Male Models, Mansoor and Brennan, their names come up a little bit. Those people will be readily available on December 20th. So that's before World's End, but after this. So just for clarity around that. To me, it's got to be Mercedes or Will Ospreay, or maybe you got Mustafa Ali out of his non-compete. I don't know if there's an advantage to WWE because it's before the next pay-per-view. Like, they're going to be able to debut before World's End anyway. So, like, they might just let people out. Will Ospreay, I think, is under contract. I thought it was till February, but to your point, they have a working relationship with Japan. And that's kind of a quiet season for them once they get through Wrestle Kingdom and New Year's Dash. So they might just enjoy the exposure and the crossover because there's been so much anyway, if it is a Will Ospreay. Mercedes, I think, is still pretty injured. But who knows, the way people come back from injury, or maybe they just feel like they need a shot in the arm women's division wise or star power wise. Like maybe she's not cleared for in-ring, but can do some stuff. That's definitely an interesting possibility to me. Matt Riddle would be a huge bust. Marty Scurll, I don't think you go out of your way to say this person is respected, especially after the Ric Flair debacle, and have that put up there. But it's interesting because there's not really anybody, there's no big overlooming name, right? Will Ospreay's probably the most interesting one because everybody's pursuing him. And there's no way anybody else but AEW could get in there, I don't think, because they have a working relationship. So this level of announcement to me says it's got to be Mercedes, Will Ospreay, or maybe Mustafa Ali. But that would take moving of mountains that WWE is not usually willing to move unless his contract reverted back to the 30 days, which we've seen before. Malachi Black, they screwed that up. So who knows? But if it's for the guys, I think your best get is Ospreay. If it's for the gals, I think it's Mercedes. They haven't specified whether it's a male or female talent, so we'll see.
Well, here's what we'll do. I'm going to make you put your money down on somebody Saturday for our predictions.
Okay.
We heard you name a couple names, but you're going to have to put money down on somebody before the show.
Okay.
All right. We'll throw the same thing to Joe first. Your thoughts on
think it's Goldberg?
Oh, Goldberg. My God.
God, no. Please, no. We've got enough old white guys running around.
He pulled up and threw out Goldberg and Batista, right? Every year, all time.
That's right.
That's hold on. Now that's a name that I hadn't thought about that is intriguing, is Batista. But I feel like now that the actor strike is over, Batista's probably got a full slate and isn't possible.
Well, he seems like the one wrestler who said he was going to retire and actually retired. Like, God bless him.
Yeah. True. So, since I might not be on that prediction show, I'll just give you my prediction now.
Sure.
And I'll say Mercedes. Okay. That's the first thing that popped in my head thinking about location. And
you know who
even
people,
if she can't go right now.
Some people mentioned Ronda Rousey too, which I forgot is should be in the conversation because she did do a couple of indie appearances, but I don't think it is. I don't think they would spend the money for the proportionate value it would bring.
No,
at least not right now.
I'm with you there. I still think she's not all the way there as a wrestler too. Like, she's passable, but like
she was way better in her first run than her second run, which is concerning.
Very true. Very true. Ryan, thoughts on any names maybe we haven't thrown out there?
There's not a lot of names that you haven't said. I don't think if it's someone like Rousey, you got to think of the way TK phrased it. This is a guy who's respected, so like certain people would get removed. Rousey, plus I've never seen a company destroy value in someone as quickly as they destroyed Ronda's. Dolph stains in my head as someone as a dark horse in the thing because he is respected. He's a former WWE champion, still young enough to be like he's not. I'm not saying he's young, but he's young enough to still be a fun guy to watch. The 90-day compete thing is weird because that is the WWE standard, but this isn't also the same WWE that existed through most of history. This is TKO. They could very easily, this is Endeavor, I guess you'd say. They very easily could change their minds and just release. I'm kind of with Kate that the big two seem to either be Mercedes or Ospreay. Ospreay only makes sense because of New Japan's relationship with AEW, but that seems weird. Like, I really want to hear if it ends up being Ospreay. I need an interview to know how those negotiations took place because Jesus Christ. I don't even think it.
Pieces
would be a big one.
Batista would be a big one. Pieces is throwing out Shelton Benjamin.
I forgot about him. I don't think he gets this announcement though.
Yeah, same deal too with the 90 days. So.
Well, we'll give you some more of our thoughts as we marinate on it, getting to our sort of prediction show before the pay-per-view on Saturday. But moving on, just a note before the show happened tonight, Jericho did face Takeshita in Japan at the DDT Ultimate Party 2023. Jericho's first match in Japan since 2020. And Jericho actually came out on top. So just a note that Jericho got the win in Japan.
He pinned Takeshita clean with the walls, not even the lion taper. Gross.
Hey, haters gonna hate, I guess.
Yeah.
Guys, the Iron Claw is coming out. And MJF is going to be in the movie. Some early things I've seen about the movie from non-wrestling folks are saying that it's pretty good. Zac Efron's apparently very good in it. The other lead role, I don't know the character's name or the guy, the actor's name, but the guy who's in the bear, he's supposed to be very good in this as well. MJF is playing Ricky Vaughn, a wrestler with WCCW, who was given a Lance Von Erich gimmick, even though he wasn't related to the family. But it did come out that, he put it out there that he said, MJF, that is, said 27 years old, executive producer for an A24 movie and a masterpiece by Sean Durkin. Proud is an understatement. However, I don't have time to celebrate. I'm a man on an island surrounded by the enemy, and November 18th will be my hardest obstacle yet. Let's go. So look at that. MJF is indeed an executive producer. If you zoom in all the way into the credits on the bottom of the poster, his name is there as an EP, or maybe just on the poster, just saying he's in it. So I guess good for MJF. He's able to get in. Looks like it might be a winner movie. So we'll see. The movie does come out in December. I don't know the exact date, but I'm definitely interested in seeing it. If you haven't seen the trailer, it's out there. Also to note, since they're in California, some news came out about some of the indies in SoCal. Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, PWG, they only held 3 events this year. They had the 2-night Battle of Los Angeles tournament in January. They had the Mystery Vortex in August. And over the weekend, they had Super Dragon, who owns PWG, along with Excalibur. They revealed basically why they haven't done more shows. Super Dragon said, a lot of you have been wondering what is going on with PWG and why there haven't been many events this year. My girlfriend's been very sick and battling an aggressive cancer since earlier this year. It's been incredibly difficult for me to focus on anything else. Recently, things took a turn for the worse. I need to take some time away from wrestling. There will be no more PWG events this year. We will return as soon as possible in 2024. Thank you for the support. So, for those wondering maybe why there hasn't been a whole lot of PWG, that is the unfortunate news as to why. The good news that it wound up turning out is that while many thought the Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling show wasn't going to happen because the Globe Theater informed them that it was closing immediately, looks like that has reversed. They were looking around for a second building, but the news did come out from Prestige Wrestling that after searching for a new venue and confirming a new location for our joint show with TJPW, we were told tonight by venue management the Globe Theater will now remain open. They say they're not going to get into any of the private details as they know very little about them, but they have been told contracts are in place that will allow the Globe Theater to remain open for years to come. So Combat Princess USA will take place as planned December 14th in LA at the Globe Theater. So that's good news because that Globe Theater was apparently, and I saw the same thing, closing immediately forever.
Yeah.
Who knows what the hell happened. So The good news, though, is that the indie show will continue. So good for them.
Yeah.
Finally, because we do talk some New Japan here, the 2023 World Tag League participants have been announced, and the field does include a number of wrestlers from AEW and CMLL. It's a round robin tournament that has 16 tag teams separated in 2 blocks. The winning team earns a shot at the IWGP Tag Team Championship for Wrestle Kingdom. The competition is going to run November 20th through December 10th. And Prince Nana did take the time to announce that the Gates of Agony are going to be competing in Japan. So Toa Leona and Bishop Khan are ready to open the world's eyes. The blocks set up right now. Block A are Shota Umino and Ren Narita, Shane Haste and Mickey Nicholas, Great Okan and Hanare, Alex Coughlin and Gabe Kidd, Evil and Yojiro Takahashi, Big Tom Ishii and Toru Yano, Bishop Khan and Toa Leona, and Kaito Kiyomiya and Ryohei Oiwa. And then Block B has Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi, Minoru Suzuki and Yuji Nagata, Taichi and Yuya Uemura, Lance Archer and Alex Zane, Bad Luck Fale and Jack Bonza, Yoda Suji and a surprise partner, Atlantis Jr. and Soberano Jr. and Hikuleo and El Fantasmo. So quite a field of talent for that tag team tournament.
Sincerely love that you got like all of the Japanese names right, but you called Mikey Nichols Mickey Nichols.
Oh, man, my bad.
No, it's all good. Just makes me laugh. You got Yuya Uemura right, but
it's actually spelled right. I don't know why I said Mickey. It's spelled Mikey with a Y, not an IE.
I just stand TMDK. That's all.
Well, there you go.
That's what's up.
That's all I got. Absolutely nothing else. So let's ride this one into the station. Let's throw out some plugs. Oh, by the way, sorry, I should mention we've been talking all night about Friday night. We're gonna have Collision and Rampage live. So a few things have been announced. Miro versus Daniel Garcia. So the Redeemer looks to send a message to his wife, CJ Perry, after Garcia danced in front of her during his loss to Andrade on Collision last week. We're going to get Hikaru Shida and TBS champion Chris Statlander teaming up to take on Saraya and Ruby Soho. We'll also get Roosh and Dax Harwood going one-on-one. And then for Rampage, we're going to have Timeless Tony Storm versus Emi Sakura in a tune-up match before the championship match at Full Gear. And MJF and his Full Gear challenger, Jay White, are going to have separate sit-down interviews with Renee Paquette. I'm sorry, the ravishing Renee Paquette. My apologies. We didn't have no Renee on TV tonight, so it totally slipped my mind. But
understandable.
That's Friday night. So now let's get down to business. Let's throw some plugs out. Kate, would you like to go first?
Sure. You can catch me Sundays on Fightful Overbook doing Kate and Joel Call It in the Ring whenever we're around on Sundays. You can catch me on Fightful Select on Mondays, the main channel on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday with your NXT, ROH, and SmackDown post shows. I also have This Week in Wrestling on my personal YouTube channel and a couple of watch-alongs, so you can check those out there. And Saturday, I will have the Fightful Select Full Gear post show at Fightful as well. So check me out there.
Lots going on. Kate, where are they following you to get your whole list?
At Miss Kate Fabe.
Boom. There you go. Let's throw it to Ryan. Ryan, what do you want to plug?
You can find me on our socials at Mark Order Pod, and then follow my history blog hereforhistory.com or on X at _hereforhistory.
go check out Ryan's blog. It's good. It's not revisionist. All right. I'm sorry, Ryan. You're in a salty mood. I'll be nice to you. Asian Joe, what do you got to plug?
You can find me on the socials at _Asian Joe, and on those pages in my bio, I have a link to my serial review blog where I just review a bunch of novelty, horribly unhealthy cereals for you.
God bless.
Those are the best ones. So, or maybe not the best ones. See what Joe has to say about them. So definitely give Joe a follow. And I'll just again plug our socials at Mark Order Pod, X, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Make sure you're following us on all the socials. It helps us out. Take a minute, subscribe, like, rate, review on, or follow whatever it is on the socials. If you'd like to follow my personal at AntMoney on X, at AntMoney247 on Instagram. Not super active, but feel free to follow for the little things. Thank you to everybody who watched along tonight. We appreciate you guys as always. Slonomite, of course. Jesse Ozog, thank you so much. 1LT Photo Pieces. I don't know if I said to you already, Pieces. SJ coming in here late. I saw a bunch of other people. I just can't scroll back far enough. You guys have been killing it. Scott George, Gordon Post. You guys have been killing it in the chat all night. Thank you. We love it when you guys are interacting with each other and us. So we appreciate you guys as always. If you're listening to us in podcast form, definitely check us out on YouTube in video form. It's always fun to see what we've got going on cam. But if you can't, certainly subscribe, like, rate, review on wherever whatever podcast platform you're listening to. That helps us out greatly in the podcast algorithms. If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, just search Mark Order Podcast on YouTube or youtube.com/MarkOrderPod, or in our social bio, our social link, or the link tree in our social bios. Jesus. You can find direct links to all of those. We're trying to get to 500 on our YouTube. Remember, if you hit 500, you win a very special prize. You win a date with Kate. That's right. I had to get the point right.
The date is I send you to kick Ryan's butt.
Asterisk rules apply. Must live in the contiguous United States. Blah blah blah.
Card subject to change.
That's right. It could be Ryan showing up. You never know.
That's right.
It's not a bad thing. Hi, I'm Date Ryan. Nice to meet me. So sure, give us a subscribe on YouTube. If you'd like to support us monetarily, you can also find a link to our Pro Wrestling Tees store, or go to prowrestlingtees.com/MarkOrderPod, or search the Mark Order Podcast on Pro Wrestling Tees. You can see right here, there's a 10 days of Black Friday sale. Save up to 50% off. No coupons needed. There are details around that. So there is going to be a sale going on Pro Wrestling Tees. So check it out when that starts on November 17th, 1 p.m. Eastern through November 27th, 1 p.m. Eastern. But our store has 4 t-shirts, 2 front prints, 2 back prints, all very, very nice. So make sure you get your hands on one if you can and support us. The money you spend there does come back to help fund this show. And we appreciate anybody who's already bought a shirt, anybody who will buy a shirt. All that. We want to remind you that Saturday we're going to be having our preview prediction show for Full Gear. We'll let you know exactly when that's going to be on YouTube. So make sure you stay tuned to our socials. And we will, of course, be back next week on this show to talk about our thoughts on Full Gear and the Fallout episode of Dynamite. Guys, always fun having a full house. If I had to say, I feel like Kate would be Stephanie. I feel like Asian Joe would be
How rude.
Thank you. I feel like Asian Joe would be Joey. Don't know why, just that that vibe. There you go, cut it out. I honestly feel like I'd have to be Danny Tanner because I'm just trying to hold it all together. And Ryan is going to be Kimmy Gibbler. I don't know why.
Yep.
I feel like he's got.
I'm very clearly Uncle Jesse. I don't.
Oh God.
Stinky feet.
It's the feet, Ryan.
Forever.
Well, not forever. We're out of here, but we will see you next week here on the Mark Order Podcast. Bye.
This concludes the Mark Order Podcast. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Join the Mark Order.